The void screams. Across the outer rim, hyperspace routes flicker and die. Navigation computers burn out mid-jump. Pilots emerge from lightspeed to find stars in the wrong positions, constellations that shouldn't exist. On Lothal, the Force-sensitive feel it first. A wrongness, a presence that doesn't belong, energy that moves like the Force but tastes of something. Alien. In the upper atmosphere, reality tears open. Not a ship, not a weapon. A body, wreathed in cobalt lightning, plummeting through clouds like a falling star. The impact crater glows with residual dark energy, biotic fields collapsing inward, technology sparking against ancient dust. The Empire's sensors scream. The Inquisitorius feels the disturbance ripple through the Force like a stone thrown into still water. Commander Shepard rises from the smoke, disoriented, armor scorched, omni-tool flickering. One galaxy's hero, another galaxy's anomaly. The hunt begins immediately. This is Galaxy of Titan. The mass relay shouldn't have done that. Commander Shepard had made the jump 1,000 times, felt the biotic field generators hum, watched the Element Zero core ignite, experienced that split second of infinite velocity as the Normandy SR-2 rode the relay's corridor between stars. Clean, predictable, safe. This time, the universe screamed. The relay convulsed. Not a malfunction. A seizure, ancient Prothean machinery, dormant for 50,000 years, suddenly erupted with energy signatures that shouldn't exist. EDI's voice crackled through the comm. "Commander, we're detecting a quantum entanglement cascade. This isn't standard relay architecture. This is..." Then nothing. The Normandy vanished. Shepard felt the pull, not through space, but through something else. Dimensions folding, reality bending. The sensation of being unmade and remade simultaneously. Biotic energy flared instinctively around their body, a barrier of cobalt lightning that was the only thing preventing complete molecular dissolution. When Shepard opened their eyes, there was no Normandy, no crew, no stars that made sense. Just clouds, atmosphere, and the ground rising fast. Impact. The crater carved into Lothal's dusty plains was 30 meters wide. Smoke billowed upward in a column visible for kilometers. The biotic barrier had absorbed most of the kinetic force, but Shepard felt every bone rattle, every cybernetic implant surge with feedback. The Omni-tool flickered orange and white against their left forearm, struggling to recalibrate. Shepard rose slowly, armor plates grinding. The N7 insignia across their chest plate was scorched black. They scanned the horizon through the helmet's HUD, but the readouts made no sense. Atmospheric composition. Breathable, but the nitrogen-oxygen ratio was wrong. Stellar positioning. Unrecognizable constellations. Gravitational constant. Standard. But the magnetic field readings suggested a planet that shouldn't exist in any known relay network. EDI, Shepard, activated the comm. Static. Joker? Anyone? Silence. The Omni-tool's haptic interface flared to life, running diagnostic after diagnostic. No connection to the extranet. No quantum entanglement buoy signals. No relay network detection. Shepard was alone. And then, on the edge of hearing, came the sound. Repulsor lift engines. Multiple contacts. Military formation. The Imperial garrison at Capital City had detected the anomaly immediately. Orbital sensors registered the atmospheric entry. No ship signature, no transponder. Just a massive energy discharge that read like a localized gravity well collapsing inward. The duty officer flagged it for investigation. Within minutes, 3 Imperial troop transports were airborne, accompanied by 2 TIE fighters screaming across the sky. Lieutenant Yogar stood in the lead transport's troop bay, checking his E-11 blaster rifle. 20 stormtroopers stood at attention around him. Standard search and secure operation. Probably debris from a smuggler's ship breaking up in Atmo. Quick recovery, quick report, back to base. But the energy readings bothered him. The techs said it looked almost like a hyperspace rupture, but localized, planetary scale. That shouldn't be possible. 2 minutes to contact zone, the pilot announced. Yoger checked his comlink. All units, weapons free. Approach with caution. We don't know what we're dealing with. The transports descended through the smoke. When the crater came into view, Yoger felt his tactical instincts flare. The impact pattern was wrong. Too controlled, too precise. And standing in the center, a figure. Humanoid. Armored in black and red plating, unlike anything in Imperial records. No visible weapon drawn, but the stance was pure combat readiness. Contact confirmed, Yogar transmitted. Single individual, unknown origin. Attempting communication. The transports landed in a perimeter formation. Stormtroopers deployed, forming a semicircle with blasters raised. The TIE fighters circled overhead, S-foils locked in attack position. Yoger stepped forward, helmet speakers amplifying his voice. You are in violation of Imperial airspace. Identify yourself immediately or be fired upon. Shepard's translator was useless. Whatever language these soldiers spoke, it wasn't in any Citadel database. But the body language was universal. Weapons raised, formation tight, authority asserted through force. Military, authoritarian. And judging by the uniformity, the faceless helmets, the white armor that stripped away individuality. Fascist. Shepard had seen it before. Cerberus. The Collectors, in their way. Now here, in whatever impossible place the relay malfunction had thrown them. The Omni-Tool's translation matrix cycled frantically, sampling the language patterns. It would take time. Time Shepard didn't have. One of the soldiers, an officer, judging by the gray uniform beneath the helmet, stepped closer, repeating the demand, tone escalating. Shepard raised both hands, slowly. Universal gesture. Non-hostile. The left hand still glowed faintly with the Omni-Tool's orange light. The officer barked something into a communicator. The soldiers tightened formation. Then, Shepard heard it. The whine of charging energy weapons. Different pitch from mass accelerators. These were directed energy weapons. Blasters, maybe. The technology was crude compared to Citadel standards, but a weapon was a weapon. Shepard's tactical assessment was instant. 20 soldiers, air support, no cover. Finite thermal clips, unknown weapon capabilities. Bad odds. The officer gave an order. Half the soldiers advanced. Shepard made a choice. Biotic energy erupted. The stormtroopers saw it as blue lightning. Sudden, impossible, force-like but wrong. The armored figure's body ignited with cobalt energy, and then the ground beneath them warped. A lift field seized 4 troopers and hurled them skyward, armor clattering as they spun helplessly in a gravitational vortex. A throw detonated next, biotic force slamming into the transport's hull and crumpling the durasteel like paper. "Open fire!" Yogar screamed. Blaster bolts filled the air, crimson energy lancing toward the figure, but a shimmering barrier flared around them, biotic shields absorbing shot after shot. The figure moved like liquid, diving and rolling, the orange glowing gauntlet on their arm flashing. Some kind of energy blade deployed, slicing through a trooper's blaster rifle. The TIE fighters banked hard, preparing strafing runs. Shepard's mind raced. This was escalating too fast. No communication, no context, just violence. They needed distance, needed time to... A massive biotic charge detonated across the battlefield. Shepard's form blurred, becoming a comet of dark energy that slammed into the second transport. The impact shattered viewports, sent stormtroopers sprawling. Shepard emerged from the collision, breathing hard, shields flickering at 30%. The TIE fighters opened fire. Laser cannons tore through the ground where Shepard had stood a second before. The commander rolled, hurled a warp field that destabilized one fighter's engine, sending it spiraling toward the horizon in a plume of black smoke. But there were too many. More transports on the horizon. Reinforcements. Shepard's Omni-tool finally chimed. Translation matrix complete. Fragments of the language loaded into the hood. Unknown Force user. Capture alive. Inquisitorius en route. Force user. Inquisitorius. Shepard didn't know those terms, but the tone was clear. These people thought Shepard was something else, something they hunted. And reinforcements were coming. Shepard fired a biotic singularity into the air, a swirling vortex of dark energy that pulled debris and smoke into its center, creating a visual screen. Then turned and sprinted toward the rocky outcroppings 300 meters south. Behind them, Lieutenant Yogar stared at the carnage. 5 troopers down. 2 transports damaged. 1 TIE fighter destroyed. By a single individual, he activated his long-range comm. This is Lieutenant Yogar to Imperial Command. We have engaged a hostile force wielder of unknown origin, requesting immediate Inquisitorius response. Threat level: critical. In the capital city, in the dark spire where the Inquisitors dwelled, the fifth brother felt the disturbance ripple through the force, and he smiled. The fifth brother wasn't a patient man, but he had learned to savor the hunt. He stood in the command center of the Imperial garrison, massive frame casting shadows across the holographic display. His gray skin seemed to absorb the blue light rather than reflect it. The double-bladed lightsaber hung at his belt, a promise of violence waiting to be fulfilled. Around him, officers scrambled to update tactical displays, but he paid them little attention. His focus was on the footage. The recording played again. Grainy, taken from a TIE fighter's gun camera. The armored figure moved through the battlefield like nothing he'd ever seen. The energy, blue, crackling, violent, resembled Force lightning, but lacked the Sith's signature corruption. The movements were precise, military, but the power was undisciplined, raw, alien. "Play it again," the fifth brother commanded, his voice a low rumble. An officer complied nervously. The footage showed the moment the figure had hurled 4 stormtroopers skyward simultaneously, not with a gesture, but with pure telekinetic will. No traditional Force technique, no recognizable form. The fifth brother's eyes narrowed. In his years hunting Jedi survivors, he had learned to recognize their patterns, the defensive forms, the reluctance to kill, the predictable adherence to their dead code. This was different. "Where is it now?" he asked. "Lost in the eastern Badlands, Inquisitor," the officer replied. "We've deployed scout patrols, but the terrain is difficult. Probe droids are en route." "No." The fifth brother turned, his presence seeming to fill the room. "Pull back your patrols. Establish a perimeter at 10 kilometers. I will hunt this one personally." "Sir, Governor Price has authorized full military support. I don't need stormtroopers stumbling through the rocks, alerting my prey." The Inquisitor's hand drifted to his lightsaber. "This Force wielder is powerful but confused. I felt its presence in the Force. Chaotic, unmoored. It doesn't know where it is, doesn't understand what it's facing." He smiled, showing teeth. "That makes it vulnerable." The officer hesitated. "Lord Vader has been notified of the incident. He may wish to. Then let Lord Vader watch." The fifth brother's tone carried an edge of ambition. "When I deliver this prize to the Emperor, my ascension will be undeniable." He swept from the command center, black robes billowing. Behind him, officers exchanged glances but said nothing. Inquisitors answered only to Vader and the Emperor. Their authority was absolute, and their cruelty was legendary. Shepard had found shelter in a collapsed mining installation, half buried in Lothal's dust. The structure was ancient, abandoned, perfect for regrouping. The commander sat against a rusted wall, helmet removed, breathing hard. The biotic barriers had held, but the sustained combat had drained reserves. Shepard's body ached with the familiar burn of overexertion. Cybernetic implants pulsed with heat warnings across the neural interface. The Omni tool projected a holographic display, finally running full diagnostics. The results were grim. Location: unknown relay. Network: no signal quantum convoy. No signal extranet access. Unavailable Normandy SR2. Link offline. Shepard closed their eyes, forcing down the spike of isolation. Focus, assess, adapt. N7 training kicked in automatically. Situation: hostile territory. Unknown faction with military capability. Advanced technology, but different design philosophy. Energy weapons. Repulsor lift vehicles. No mass effect fields detected. Language barrier broken, but context still unclear. They'd called Shepard a Force user. The term meant nothing, but the response had been immediate and overwhelming. Whatever Force users were in this place, they were hunted. The Omni tool chimed softly. Translation algorithm had processed more of the intercepted communications. Shepard pulled up the transcript. Inquisitorius dispatched. Fifth brother responding personally. Capture for interrogation. Imperial Protocol 7-7. Inquisitorius, a hunting organization. Fifth brother sounded like a title, possibly religious. The Empire, that term had appeared repeatedly, seemed to be the dominant authority. Authoritarian, centralized, aggressive toward anyone with abilities like Shepard's biotics. Familiar patterns. Too familiar. Shepard had spent years fighting the Collectors, who stripped away individuality and free will, had opposed Cerberus, who believed human supremacy justified any atrocity, had faced the Reapers, who imposed galactic extinction in the name of cold logic. This empire smelled the same. The commander stood, replacing the helmet. The HUD flickered to life, running combat diagnostics. Assault rifle, functional, but only 2 thermal clips remaining. Heavy pistol, 1 clip. Omni blade, operational. Biotics, recovering. Estimated full capacity in 6 hours. Not enough for sustained engagement. Shepard needed intelligence, needed to understand this place, these people, the political landscape. Needed allies, or at minimum non-hostiles, and needed a way home. The Omni tool's passive scanner suddenly flared with proximity warnings. Multiple contacts approaching, moving with purpose. Coordinated search pattern. Shepard's hand went to the pistol. The mine had multiple exits, 3 that the quick recon had identified. Standard extraction doctrine. Never get trapped, always maintain egress options. But then the scanner readings changed. The contacts had stopped. 200 meters out, holding position in a perfect perimeter. No, not holding. Waiting. Shepard's tactical instinct screamed warning. This wasn't a search patrol. This was a trap being set. Someone knew exactly where Shepard was and had chosen not to overwhelm with numbers, which meant whoever was coming wanted a personal confrontation. The fifth brother walked alone through the Badlands. He could feel it now, the disturbance in the force growing stronger with each step. The presence was there, radiating confusion and determination in equal measure. The force swirled around it strangely, as if reality itself wasn't sure how to accommodate this intruder. Fascinating. The Inquisitor reached out through the force, not attacking, but observing. He felt the figure's alertness spike. It could sense danger, even if it couldn't touch the force directly. Impressive instincts. "I know you can hear me," the fifth brother called out. his voice carrying across the rocks. He spoke in basics, knowing his prey's technology had decoded the language. I know you're trying to understand what's happening, where you are, how you arrived. Silence. But the presence shifted, listening. You are on Lothal, Outer Rim world, governed by the Galactic Empire, which maintains order across thousands of systems. The fifth brother's hand rested on his lightsaber hilt, fingers tracing the activation stud. You displayed powers that mark you as Force-sensitive. In this galaxy, such individuals are either trained by the Empire or eliminated. He paused at the mine entrance, feeling the presence inside tense. I am an Inquisitor. I hunt rogues, Force wielders who refuse the Emperor's grace. His smile widened. But you're different. You don't move like a Jedi. Don't think like one. Your power is unorthodox. The fifth brother ignited his lightsaber. The double-bladed crimson energy roared to life, casting blood-red light across the rocks. The weapon began to spin, the circular hilt rotating the blades in a deadly arc. "Come out," he commanded. "Face judgment. I promise you, submission will be less painful than resistance." Inside the mine, Shepard heard every word. The translation was clear enough. Submit or die. Authority enforced through fear. An empire that hunted people with abilities, that demanded compliance, that offered only servitude or death. Shepard had heard that speech before, from the elusive man, from Harbinger, from every tyrant who believed power justified domination. The answer had always been the same. Shepard stepped into the entrance, silhouetted against the dim light. The figure outside was massive, easily 2 meters tall, broad-shouldered, holding a weapon that hummed with contained energy. 2 blades of crimson light spun in a hypnotic pattern. Impressive. Dangerous. But Shepard had faced worse. "I'm Commander Shepard," the N7 replied, voice filtered through the helmet speakers. "Alliance military, and I submit to fascists." The fifth brother's expression shifted. Surprise, then intrigue, then hunger. Alliance? There is no alliance in this galaxy. He stepped forward, lightsaber still spinning. "But your defiance, refreshing. The Jedi were always so tedious in their philosophies. You, though, you're a soldier. I can smell the violence on you." Biotic energy began to crackle around Shepard's frame, cobalt lightning dancing across armor plates. "Last chance," the Inquisitor warned. "Kneel, and I deliver you to the Emperor alive. Resist, and I take only your corpse." Shepard's response was a biotic throw that ripped a boulder from the ground and hurled it at supersonic velocity. The fifth brother's lightsaber carved through the stone in a shower of molten fragments. He laughed, deep, genuine, delighted. "Excellent," he charged. The duel erupted with savage intensity. The fifth brother moved with force-enhanced speed, his spinning lightsaber a crimson blur that carved through air and stone alike. Each strike was meant to bisect, to sever, to kill. The weapon's energy field superheated anything it touched, leaving glowing scars in the rock. But Shepard didn't fight like a Jedi. The commander used cover aggressively, ducking behind pillars, using the terrain, forcing the Inquisitor to overextend. Biotic pulls yanked debris into the lightsaber's path. A slam detonated beneath the fifth brother's feet, staggering him. When he lunged, Shepard met him with an omni-blade parry, the orange energy field screeching against the crimson blade in a shower of sparks. "You fight like a coward," the Inquisitor snarled, frustration mounting. "Stand and face me!" Shepard's response was a heavy pistol shot that forced the fifth brother to deflect with his lightsaber, the blaster bolt ricocheting wildly. Another shot, another. Keeping pressure, staying mobile. The fifth brother reached out through the force and pulled. Shepard felt the invisible grip seize their armor, yanking them forward. They tumbled across the ground, barely rolling aside as the spinning lightsaber carved through the space their head had occupied. Close. Too close. Shepard unleashed a biotic shockwave that rippled outward like a kinetic bomb. The fifth brother raised a force barrier, but the impact still sent him skidding backward, boots carving furrows in the dust. Both combatants paused, breathing hard. The Inquisitor's eyes gleamed with dark satisfaction. "You're running out of power. I can feel it. Your barriers weaken. Your attacks slow." It was true. Shepard's biotic reserves were at 40%. The cybernetic implants were overheating. The thermal clips were spent. The fifth brother sensed victory. He advanced, lightsaber spinning faster, preparing the killing strike. And then the horizon lit up with blaster fire. 3 figures emerged from the rocks, weapons blazing. A Mandalorian in customized armor, a Lasat warrior with a bow rifle, a young woman with twin blaster pistols, and a fierce grin. The rebel cell had arrived. "Hey, Buckethead!" the woman shouted at the Inquisitor. "Pick on someone your own oppression level!" The fifth brother turned, fury replacing satisfaction. "Insurgents!" Shepard didn't waste the opportunity. A biotic charge slammed into the Inquisitor's back, sending him sprawling. The commander grabbed the stunned rebel woman's arm. "Move! Now!" The team scattered into the Badlands as the fifth brother's rage-fueled roar echoed behind them. Above, Imperial reinforcements streaked across the sky. The hunt had just begun. They ran for 20 minutes through the labyrinthine canyons of Lothal's eastern Badlands. The Mandalorian, Sabine Wren, she'd identified herself through gasping breaths, led the way with practiced efficiency. Behind them, Imperial searchlights carved through the darkness like probing fingers, and the distant whine of TIE fighter engines echoed off canyon walls. The Lasat, Zeb, moved with surprising grace for his size, bow rifle held ready. The young woman, Hera Syndulla, a Twi'lek pilot, kept glancing back at Shepard with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. "Ghost, this is Spectre 2, Hera spoke into her comlink. "We have the package. En route to extraction point Besh. ETA 8 minutes. A voice crackled back, male, young, concerned. "Copy that, Spectre 2. Be advised, Imperial patrols are converging on your position. You've got company coming fast." Understood. Ghost out. Shepard's tactical HUD tracked their movement, overlaying terrain data as the Omni-Tool's scanner mapped the environment. These people moved like insurgents, practiced, coordinated, familiar with the territory. A resistance cell. The commander had worked with enough freedom fighters across the galaxy to recognize the pattern, which raised the question, why had they intervened? Sabine led them into a narrow crevasse, barely wide enough for Zeb's shoulders. The passage twisted downward, opening into a hidden cave system. Glow rods activated, casting pale light across ancient stone. "Far enough," Hera announced, raising her blaster and pointing it directly at Shepard. "Now, who or what are you? And why did the Empire send an Inquisitor after you?" Zeb's bow rifle hummed to life, the electrostaff crackling with energy. Sabine's hand drifted toward the blaster on her hip, though her expression was more curious than hostile. Shepard raised both hands slowly, keeping movements non-threatening. "Commander Shepard, Alliance Navy. And I don't know what an Inquisitor is, but I'm not with your Empire." "Alliance?" Hera's headtails twitched with confusion. "There's no Alliance Navy in Imperial records. No ship matching your armor's design. And your weapons?" She gestured at the rifle mag locked to Shepard's back. "I've never seen technology like that." "Because I'm not from here." Shepard's voice was calm, measured. "I don't know how, but I was pulled through. Something. A dimensional fracture, maybe. I crashed on your planet 6 hours ago, and your Empire immediately tried to capture me. Silence. The three rebels exchanged glances. Dimensional fracture, Zeb repeated slowly. That's Carabost. That's insane. Insane. Or the only explanation that makes sense, Sabine countered. She stepped closer, studying Shepard's armor with an artist's eye. Look at the design. The materials. That's not Durasteel or Plastoid. And that gauntlet, she pointed at the Omni tool, is emitting energy signatures I can't even classify. Hera lowered her blaster slightly, though her guard remained up. You used the Force against that Inquisitor. Blue energy, telekinetic abilities. But you fought like a soldier, not a Jedi. I don't know what the Force is, Shepard replied honestly. What you saw were biotics. Mass effect fields generated through biological implants and element zero exposure. It's standard combat enhancement where I come from. Biotics, Mass Effect, Element Zero. Hera's expression was skeptical but intrigued. You're saying you're from another dimension? Another universe, more likely. Shepard's Omni tool projected a holographic star chart. The Milky Way galaxy, the relay network, the Citadel. This is my galaxy. Humanity discovered alien life 200 years ago. We formed an alliance of species. Humans, Turians, Asari, Solarians, dozens more. I was fighting in a war against an extinction-level threat when something went wrong with our FTL travel. The hologram rotated slowly, showing ships, technologies, worlds utterly foreign to Star Wars design. Sabine's eyes widened behind her helmet. That's incredible. Do you have any idea how valuable this information is? The scientific implications alone. Later, Sabine. Hera cut her off, though the pilot's own fascination was evident. Right now, we need to figure out what to do with our new friend here. She looked at Shepard directly. The Empire hunts Force sensitives. You displayed abilities that scared them badly enough to send an Inquisitor within hours. That makes you either a massive liability or a massive asset. And which do you think I am? Shepard asked. Hera studied the commander for a long moment. Honestly, I'm not sure yet. But anyone the Empire wants that badly is someone we need to keep away from them. The Ghost, a VCX-100 light freighter, waited in a concealed canyon, its hull painted in faded blues and grays that helped it blend against Lothal's sky. Shepard studied the ship as they approached. Fusion drive propulsion, no element zero core, primitive by Citadel standards, but functional. The design philosophy was utilitarian, hardy, built for reliability over elegance. A protocol droid stood at the boarding ramp, photoreceptors brightening as the team arrived. Oh, thank the Maker. I was certain you'd been captured or worse. The Imperial transmissions have been most alarming. We're fine, Chopper, Hera assured the droid. Then, to the astromech unit beside it that was beeping angrily. Yes, Chop, I know we're late. Prep for immediate departure. The astromech, Chopper apparently, emitted a series of rude-sounding beeps and rolled up the ramp. Cheerful little guy, Shepard observed. You have no idea, Zeb muttered. Inside the Ghost, Shepard immediately noted the cramped quarters, the worn consoles, the evidence of constant repair and modification. This was a ship held together by determination and improvisation. The crew moved with practiced efficiency. Hera to the cockpit, Zeb securing weapons, Sabine running system diagnostics. A young man emerged from the crew quarters, human, maybe 19, with dark hair and earnest eyes. He stopped short when he saw Shepard. Whoa, is that? Ezra Bridger, meet Commander Shepard, Hera called from the cockpit. Our guest from another universe. Shepard, Ezra's our resident Jedi in training. Ezra's eyes widened. You're from another universe. Wait, I felt you. When you crashed? It was like the Force just screamed. He approached cautiously, extending a hand. I'm a Padawan. Sort of. Long story. Shepard shook the offered hand, noting the lightsaber hilt on Ezra's belt. Jedi. That term keeps coming up. What exactly is a Jedi? Ezra blinked. You don't know what a Jedi is? Where I'm from, there's no such thing. The young man's expression cycled through confusion, fascination, and something like grief. Jedi were the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy. They, served the Force, used it to help people. But the Empire wiped us out. Genocide. I'm one of the last. Shepard understood that tone. The weight of survival guilt. The burden of being the remnant of something greater. I'm sorry. Ezra nodded, appreciating the sincerity. Then his curiosity overtook his sadness. But you used the Force. I saw the recordings Hera pulled from Imperial channels. You threw troopers around, created barriers, moved like lightning. How can you do that without training, without even knowing what the Force is? It's not the Force, Shepard explained. It's biotic ability. Different source, different mechanism. But apparently, it looks similar to your people. Similar enough that the Empire thinks you're a rogue Force user. Hera's voice came through the intercom. Which means they'll hunt you like they hunt Ezra, like they hunt all of us. Strap in, everyone. We're breaking orbit. The Ghost's engines ignited with a roar. Through the viewport, Shepard watched Lothal drop away as the ship punched through the atmosphere. No mass effect fields, no kinetic barriers, just raw thrust and pilot skill. And then, on the edge of the viewport, something massive appeared. An Imperial Star Destroyer hung in low orbit, its wedge-shaped hull bristling with weapons. Smaller ships, TIE fighters, launched from its hangars like angry insects. They brought a Star Destroyer? Sabine's voice was tight with alarm. For one person? They're not taking chances, Hera replied, her hands flying across the controls. Chopper, reroute all power to shields. Zeb, man the dorsal guns. Sabine, get the tail gun online. Ezra, I know. Hold on and don't touch anything. The young Jedi grabbed a handhold, glancing at Shepard. First time being hunted by the Empire? First time being hunted by this Empire, Shepard corrected, gripping a bulkhead support. I've dealt with totalitarian regimes before. Great. Then you know how much they suck. The Ghost banked hard as green turbolaser fire streaked past. Shepard's stomach lurched. The inertial compensators on this ship were nowhere near Citadel standards. Through the viewport, space erupted with fire and light as the freighter dove into the planet's shadow, using Lothal's mass to break line of sight. Spectre 2, this is Fulcrum. A new voice crackled over the comm. Female, authoritative, encrypted. I'm reading your situation. Imperial blockade is forming. You need to jump to hyperspace immediately. Working on it, Fulcrum, Hera snapped back. Chopper's calculating coordinates now. A TIE fighter screamed past, cannons blazing. The Ghost's shields flared, alarms shrieking. Zeb returned fire from the dorsal turret, tracking the nimble fighter with surprising accuracy. Got one, he roared triumphantly. 8 more on our tail, Sabine countered from the rear gun. Shepard's tactical mind processed the situation rapidly. Outgunned, outmaneuvered. No conventional escape. But there was one option. Your hyperdrive, Shepard said quickly. Does it need a clear vector to jump? Yes, Hera replied through gritted teeth, pulling the Ghost into a corkscrewing evasive pattern. We need 30 seconds of straight flight to engage safely. Give me access to your sensor suite. My Omni tool might be able to calculate a micro-jump. A what? Short-range hyperspace hop. Dangerous, but it'll get you out of the kill zone. Hera hesitated for maybe half a second. Then, Sabine, link our nav computer to the commander's tech. Sabine's fingers flew across her console. Trying. The interface is… Okay, I've got a handshake protocol. Shepard, you're live. The Omni-Tool's display exploded with data. Hyperspace calculations, gravitational readings, trajectory plots. Shepard's mind, enhanced by cybernetic implants and years of tactical training, processed the information at superhuman speed. This wasn't mass relay technology, but the principles were similar enough. Got it, Shepard announced. Transmitting coordinates. Jump in 5 seconds on my mark. Bearing 273, elevation -15. Distance, 50,000 kilometers. That'll put us inside the asteroid belt, Hera protested. Exactly. They won't follow. Mark! Hera's hands moved on pure trust. The Ghost's hyperdrive spooled up with a rising whine. The pursuing TIE fighters sensed their prey escaping, unleashing a final barrage. The stars stretched into lines. Hyperspace swallowed them. They emerged into chaos. Asteroids tumbled through the void. A vast field of rock and ice, spinning in complex patterns. The Ghost immediately began evasive maneuvers, Hera's piloting turning desperate as she navigated the deadly maze at subliminal speed. I can't believe that worked, Ezra shouted. Don't celebrate yet, Hera barked. Chopper, find us a safe route through this field. Zeb, watch for pursuit. Sabine. Already scanning, the Mandalorian confirmed. No Imperial signatures. We lost them. Slowly, the tension aboard the Ghost began to ease. Shepard released the bulkhead support, feeling the adrenaline fade. The Omni-Tool's display showed minor system strain, but nothing critical. Hera set the ship to autopilot and emerged from the cockpit. She walked directly to Shepard, studying the commander with new respect. That was some of the fastest nav calculation I've ever seen, she said quietly. You saved our lives. You saved mine first, Shepard replied. Why? You don't know me. I could be dangerous. You are dangerous, Hera agreed. But the Empire wanted you, which usually means we want you too. She extended a hand. Welcome to the rebellion, Commander. We're not much, but we're fighting for freedom. And from what I've seen, that's something you understand. Shepard took the hand, feeling the weight of that commitment. Another war, another fight against tyranny. The commander had hoped to find a way home, not get dragged into someone else's revolution. But then again, N7 training had one absolute rule: never abandon those fighting for their freedom. Tell me about your empire, Shepard said. Everything. If I'm staying, I need to understand what we're fighting. Hera's smile was grim and determined. Then sit down, Commander. It's a long story, and not a happy one. The Ghost drifted through the asteroid field in silent running mode, all non-essential systems powered down. In the common room, the crew gathered around a holographic projector as Hera laid out the grim history of the galaxy Shepard had stumbled into. 19 years ago, Hera began, her voice heavy with old grief. The Galactic Republic fell. It had stood for 1,000 generations, a democratic union of thousands of star systems. The Jedi Order served as peacekeepers, working with the Senate to maintain stability. The hologram displayed images, grand chambers, robed figures, a galaxy united. Then came the Clone Wars, a 3-year conflict that tore the Republic apart. The Jedi led clone armies against the Separatists, a rebellion led by former Jedi Count Dooku. But it was all a lie. Ezra leaned forward, his expression dark. The whole war was orchestrated by one man, Supreme Chancellor Palpatine. He was secretly Darth Sidious, a Sith Lord, the Jedi's ancient enemy. Shepard's tactical mind processed the implications. He played both sides. Classic authoritarian playbook. Create the crisis, then offer yourself as the solution. Exactly, Hera confirmed. When the war reached its peak, Palpatine activated Order 66, a secret protocol programmed into every clone trooper. In a single day, the clones turned on their Jedi commanders. Thousands died. The Order was almost completely destroyed. The hologram showed burning temples, fallen warriors, a galaxy drowning in ash. Palpatine declared himself Emperor, reformed the Republic into the Galactic Empire, dissolved the Senate, centralized all power under his rule. Hera's hands clenched into fists. Worlds that resisted were crushed, entire species enslaved. Anyone who spoke out disappeared. Sabine added, "The Empire rules through fear. Star destroyers, orbital bombardments, garrison troops on every world. They've built something called the Death Star, a battle station capable of destroying entire planets." Shepard felt a chill run through their cybernetics. A weapon that can kill billions with a single shot. "Not a weapon," Zeb growled. "A genocide machine. That's what the Empire is. Genocide, slavery, oppression, all to maintain control." The commander had heard enough. The pattern was undeniable. This Empire was the Reapers dressed in different armor, an overwhelming force that crushed individuality, that demanded submission or extinction, that justified atrocity in the name of order. "And the rebellion?" Shepard asked. "Small," Hera admitted. "Scattered. We're barely coordinated. Cells like ours operate independently, striking when we can, running when we must. We've had some victories, stealing Imperial resources, disrupting supply lines, rescuing prisoners, but against the Empire's full military might." She didn't need to finish. Shepard understood. Asymmetric warfare against a superior force. The rebels were insurgents, not an army. Brave, dedicated, but hopelessly outmatched in conventional engagement. Just like the colonies had been against the Collectors before Shepard intervened. "Who leads you?" the commander asked. "Senator Mon Mothma and Senator Bail Organa are coordinating the political resistance," Hera replied. "But there's no unified military command yet. Every cell operates autonomously. We're trying to build something larger, but it's slow, dangerous." Ezra spoke up, his young voice carrying unexpected weight. "My master, Kanan Jarrus, he says the rebellion isn't just about fighting the Empire. It's about keeping hope alive. Showing people that the Emperor doesn't control everything. That resistance is still possible." "Your master sounds wise," Shepard said. "Where is he?" The crew exchanged uncomfortable glances. "Kanan's away," Hera said carefully. "Deep cover mission. We're expecting him back in a few days." The evasion was obvious, but Shepard didn't press. Every resistance cell had secrets. Operational security demanded it. Instead, the commander stood and walked to the viewport. Beyond the transparisteel, asteroids tumbled through the void in their ancient dance. Somewhere out there, an empire hunted them, a tyranny that had crushed democracy, exterminated its opposition, and ruled through terror. And Shepard was trapped here. No Normandy, no crew, no way home. The Omni-Tools interface displayed the same negative readings it had shown for hours. No relay network, no quantum comm voice, no connection to anything familiar. The probability of finding a way back to the Milky Way was, "You're thinking about leaving, aren't you?" Shepard turned. Ezra had approached quietly, his force sensitivity apparently giving him insight into emotional states. "I'm thinking about my crew," Shepard admitted. "The people I left behind, the war I was fighting. They need me." "But you can't get back," Ezra said gently. It wasn't a question. "Not yet. Maybe not ever." The words tasted bitter. My ship, my team, they were my responsibility, and I abandoned them. "You didn't abandon anyone. You were ripped away." The young Jedi's tone was firm. "My parents were taken from me by the Empire. I blamed myself for years. Thought if I'd been stronger, smarter, faster, I could have saved them. But my master taught me something important. You can't change the past. You can only choose what to do now." Shepard looked at the kid, barely 19, carrying the weight of genocide on his shoulders, still finding the strength to comfort a stranger. "You're more mature than you look," the commander observed. Ezra grinned. "Yeah, well, the Empire has a way of aging you fast." Behind them, Hera was studying a datapad, her expression growing increasingly concerned. She looked up, catching Shepard's attention. "Commander, we need to make a decision. Imperial transmissions are lighting up every frequency. They've issued a galaxy-wide alert for your capture. Designated you as an unknown force entity. Threat level critical. There's a bounty. 50,000 credits alive only." 50,000, Zeb whistled. "That's more than they're offering for most of us." "The Empire doesn't like mysteries," Sabine said. "And you're the biggest mystery they've encountered in years. They'll throw everything at finding you." Shepard processed the tactical situation. The Empire knew the commander existed, knew about the biotic abilities, would dedicate resources to capture or kill, which meant anyone associated with Shepard would be in increased danger. "I should leave," Shepard said quietly. "Go to ground somewhere remote. I'm putting your cell at risk just by being here." "Absolutely not." Hera's tone was absolute. "First, we don't abandon people who've helped us. You calculated that jump. You're part of this crew now, whether you like it or not. Second, where exactly would you go? You don't know this galaxy, don't have currency, don't have safe houses or contacts. I've survived worse. Have you survived a galactic empire with unlimited resources and a personal vendetta?" Hera challenged. "Because that's what you're facing. Alone, you'll last maybe a week before an Inquisitor finds you. With us, you have a chance." Shepard wanted to argue, but the tactical assessment supported Hera's position. The commander was an outsider in an unfamiliar galaxy, hunted by a superior force, with no support network and finite resources. Standard doctrine for that situation: find allies, establish operational security, gather intelligence, plan extraction or long-term survival strategy. "What are you offering?" Shepard asked. Hera smiled. "Partnership. You help us fight the Empire, we help you survive. Maybe even find a way home if that's possible. We've got contacts across the Outer Rim, smugglers, scientists, even a few former Imperial engineers who defected. If there's a way to reverse whatever brought you here, we'll help you find it. And in exchange, you do what you're clearly good at: fight, strategize, lead if necessary." Hera's expression was earnest. "Commander, we need people like you. The rebellion is desperate for experienced military leadership. Most of our people are farmers, mechanics, idealists who've never seen real combat. You've obviously led soldiers before. That experience is invaluable." Shepard considered. The choice was stark. Go alone into hostile territory with no resources, or join a resistance movement fighting a battle the commander understood intimately. When framed that way, it wasn't really a choice at all. "I have conditions," Shepard said. "Name them." 1. I don't take orders from people I don't trust. I'll work with your rebellion, but I need to meet your leadership, understand your command structure. Fair, Hera agreed. 2. I need access to technical resources. My equipment is advanced, but it's degrading. The thermal clips for my weapons are irreplaceable in this universe. I need to adapt your technology or find alternatives. Sabine's the best tech specialist in the sector, Hera gestured to the Mandalorian. She'll help you jury-rig whatever you need. 3. I don't commit to anything that compromises my principles. I've fought tyrants before, but I won't become one in the process. No civilian casualties if avoidable. No unnecessary cruelty. We do this right, or I walk. Hera extended her hand. Those terms are acceptable. Welcome to Phoenix Cell, Commander Shepard. They shook. The commitment was made. Zeb clapped Shepard on the shoulder, with enough force to stagger a normal human. "Ha! We've got ourselves a dimensional warrior. The Empire's gonna hate this." "They already do," Sabine pointed out, but she was grinning behind her helmet. Ezra looked at Shepard with something like awe. "This is incredible. A soldier from another universe, fighting alongside us. Kanan's going to lose his mind when he hears about this." "Assuming we survive long enough to tell him," Hera cautioned. But her tone was lighter, more hopeful than before. "Chopper, set course for Garrel. We need to resupply and contact Fulcrum. She'll want to know about our new asset." The astromech beeped a sarcastic response that needed no translation. Shepard returned to the viewport, watching the asteroids drift past. The weight of the decision settled across the commander's shoulders. Not regret exactly, but acknowledgement. Another war, another fight. Another cause that would demand everything. But that was what Shepard had always done. What N7 training had prepared for. When people faced extinction, when tyranny threatened freedom, you didn't run. You fought. Even if it wasn't your galaxy. Even if you could never go home. "Commander?" Ezra had approached again, his expression curious. "Can I ask you something?" "Go ahead." "You fought wars before, lost people, had to make impossible choices." The young Jedi's eyes were searching, looking for wisdom. "How do you keep going? How do you not break?" Shepard was quiet for a moment, thinking of Vermeer, of Thessia, of Earth burning under Reaper fire, of all the faces that would never come home. "You remember why you're fighting," the commander said finally. "Not for glory, not for revenge, but because someone has to stand between the innocent and those who destroy them. You carry the weight, so others don't have to." "That sounds lonely." "It is," Shepard admitted, "but you're not carrying it alone. Look around you. Hera, Zeb, Sabine, they're carrying it too. That's what makes it bearable. That's what makes it matter." Ezra nodded slowly, absorbing the words. Then, with the resilience of youth, his expression brightened. "Want to see something cool? I've been practicing this new force technique." "Ezra," Hera called from the cockpit. "Stop bothering the commander. We're approaching Garrel. Everyone prep for docking." The young Jedi rolled his eyes but complied, heading to secure the cargo bay. Shepard felt something unexpected, the faint stirring of belonging. These people, this crew, they reminded the commander of the Normandy. Different faces, different galaxy, but the same desperate courage. The same refusal to give up. Maybe, Shepard thought, this wouldn't be such a bad place to make a stand. At least until a way home appeared. If it ever did. The Ghost dropped out of the asteroid field and accelerated toward the coordinates Hera had set. Behind them, the Empire mobilized its fleets, its Inquisitors, its infinite resources. The hunt for Commander Shepard had begun in earnest, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Executor hung in the void like a dagger pointed at the heart of the galaxy. 5 times the length of a standard Star Destroyer, Darth Vader's personal superstar destroyer was a monument to Imperial might and Sith dominance. Its shadow could eclipse moons. Its firepower could reduce fleets to debris. And within its obsidian corridors, the Dark Lord of the Sith contemplated a mystery that defied explanation. Vader stood alone in his meditation chamber, the spherical room sealed against all intrusion. The life support apparatus that kept his ravaged body functional hissed and clicked in rhythmic patterns. Before him, holographic displays cycled through footage recovered from Lothal. Grainy, incomplete, but sufficient. He watched the figure move through Imperial troops like a force of nature. Watched the blue energy erupt from their form, hurling soldiers skyward with telekinetic power that resembled the Force, but wasn't. Watched the barrier absorb blaster fire, the impossible speed, the tactical precision. The footage shifted to the duel with the fifth brother. Vader's respirator increased its tempo as he observed the combat. The Inquisitor had been overconfident, sloppy, but the unknown combatant fought with discipline that suggested elite military training. No traditional lightsaber forms, no Jedi philosophy restraining their violence, just brutal, efficient warfare. And then the energy readings. The Imperial analysts had flagged them immediately. The power signature was wrong. Midi-chlorian scanners detected nothing. The energy didn't flow through the Force. It was as if reality itself bent around this being through sheer otherness. Vader reached out through the Force, searching for the presence he'd felt ripple across the galaxy when this entity arrived. It was still there, distant, moving, alive. But touching it through the Force was like grasping smoke. The presence had mass and weight, but no Force signature. An impossible contradiction. The Dark Lord had encountered many Force sensitives, Jedi survivors clinging to their broken code, Inquisitors drunk on power they didn't truly understand, Force-sensitive children ripe for corruption or elimination. But this was entirely new. And what was new was either a tool to be exploited or a threat to be destroyed. A chime interrupted his meditation. Vader gestured with one black-gloved hand, and the chamber's door hissed open. Admiral Constantine stood at attention, carefully not looking directly at the Dark Lord. Lord Vader, the interrogation of the Lothal garrison survivors has been completed. Report. The voice, filtered through the respirator, carried absolute authority. Lieutenant Yoger provided detailed accounts of the engagement. The entity identified itself as Commander Shepard, Alliance Navy. Our databases contain no record of any organization called an Alliance Navy. The entity claimed to be from another dimension, pulled here by an unknown phenomenon. Vader processed this. Another dimension. The concept wasn't unknown to the Sith. Ancient texts spoke of tiers in reality, of spaces between spaces where the Force grew thin. But actual transit? That was the realm of legend, unless this entity told the truth. The entity's weapons, Vader asked. Unknown design, projectile-based, but utilizing thermal energy. The armor is constructed from materials our analysts cannot identify. And the energy manipulation, Constantine hesitated, knowing the next words would intrigue or anger the Dark Lord. Functions identically to Force abilities but generates no midi-chlorian response. Silence. Vader's respirator was the only sound. Where is the fifth brother? The Dark Lord finally asked. Medical bay. Severe contusions, fractured ribs. The entity escaped with rebel assistance before the Inquisitor could complete capture. More silence. Then, summon the Inquisitorius, all of them, and contact Grand Moff Tarkin. This matter requires special attention. At once, Lord Vader. Constantine retreated quickly, grateful to escape the suffocating presence. Vader returned to the holographic displays. He replayed the moment of impact, Shepard's biotic charge slamming into the fifth brother with enough force to crack armor plating. The speed, the power, the control. The Dark Lord had not felt challenged in years. The Inquisitors were useful tools, but weak. Rebel fighters were insects beneath his boot. Even the few Jedi survivors he'd hunted had been shadows of their former selves, broken by Order 66's trauma. But this Commander Shepard, this was something different. Something that might actually pose a threat. Or, Vader's thoughts turned darker. Something that could be turned. Molded. The Emperor's greatest weapon had always been corruption, taking strength and twisting it to serve the dark side. If this entity could be broken, if its power could be claimed, the possibilities were intoxicating. Vader closed his fist, and the holographic displays shattered into static. The hunt would continue. But now, The Dark Lord of the Sith would oversee it personally. Garrel was a gray world of industrial sprawl and crowded spaceports. The Ghost docked at Bay 17, a privately owned berth far from Imperial patrols. Shepard descended the boarding ramp behind Hera, studying the environment with tactical awareness. The spaceport was chaos. Alien species Shepard had never seen. Droids of various configurations, cargo haulers moving massive containers. The architecture was utilitarian, worn, designed for function over form. The air tasted of ozone and recycled atmosphere. "Stay close," Hera advised. "Garrel's relatively safe, but Imperial informants are everywhere. And with that bounty on your head, every hunter in the sector will be looking." Shepard's armor drew stares, but the commander had learned to ignore attention. The Omni tool was concealed beneath a cloak Sabine had provided, crude but effective camouflage. They moved through the crowds toward a nondescript cantina called the Broken Horn. Inside, dim lighting and loud music provided cover for clandestine meetings. Hera led them to a back booth, where a hooded figure waited. "Fulcrum," Hera greeted, sliding into the seat. The figure lowered her hood slightly. Female, human, maybe mid-20s, with sharp eyes that assessed Shepard instantly. "So this is our dimensional traveler. Commander Shepard, meet Fulcrum," Hera introduced, "our intelligence coordinator. She connects the various rebel cells, coordinates information, keeps us one step ahead of the Empire." "Usually," Fulcrum said dryly. She gestured for Shepard to sit. "I've been monitoring Imperial channels since your arrival. The Empire is terrified of you." "Terrified seems like an overstatement," Shepard replied. 50,000 credit bounty issued within 6 hours. 3 Star Destroyers dispatched to Lothal. The Inquisitorius mobilized. And Fulcrum leaned forward, her expression grave. "Darth Vader has taken personal interest." The name clearly meant something significant. The entire table tensed. "Who's Darth Vader?" Shepard asked. Ezra's voice was quiet, haunted. "The Emperor's enforcer, the Jedi killer. He led the purge that destroyed the Order. More powerful in the Force than anyone except Palpatine himself. If you see him, you run. You don't fight. You run." "He's killed more Jedi than the rest of the Inquisitors combined," Fulcrum added. "Utterly ruthless, unstoppable. And if he's interested in you personally, Commander, your life expectancy just dropped to days. Maybe hours." Shepard absorbed this without visible reaction. Another overwhelming threat. Another enemy that everyone feared. The commander had faced down Harbinger, had stared into the infinite malice of the Reapers, and refused to blink. One Sith Lord, no matter how powerful, was just another obstacle. "Tell me about him," Shepard said. "Tactics, capabilities, weaknesses." Fulcrum pulled up a datapad, displaying what little intelligence the rebellion had gathered. "Vader wears life support armor. He's more machine than man now, though no one knows exactly what happened to him. He wields a red lightsaber, fights with perfect mastery of all 7 traditional forms. His force abilities include telekinesis, powerful enough to crush starfighter hulls. Force choke that can kill from across a room, precognition that lets him anticipate attacks before they happen. He's also a brilliant tactician," Hera added grimly. "Commands fleets, leads ground assaults personally, doesn't tolerate failure. He's killed his own officers for incompetence." "Weaknesses?" Shepard pressed. "His armor," Fulcrum said. "The life support system is vulnerable to electrical interference, lightning, ion weapons, anything that can disrupt the circuitry. But getting close enough to exploit that weakness means getting close enough for him to kill you." Shepard's mind filed the information, already building tactical models. Electrical vulnerability, close quarters specialist, precognitive abilities that would counter conventional tactics. Challenging, but not impossible. "There's more," Fulcrum continued, We've intercepted communications suggesting Vader isn't just hunting you for elimination. He's intrigued, wants you captured alive. Why? Unknown. But Vader doesn't usually take prisoners. He kills. The fact that he wants you alive suggests he sees you as valuable, potentially useful, or corruptible, Ezra said darkly. The Emperor turns Force sensitives. That's what the Inquisitors are. Broken Jedi, twisted to serve the dark side. If Vader thinks he can do the same to you. The implication hung in the air. Shepard's jaw tightened. I've resisted indoctrination before. Reaper tech that could rewrite minds, turn people into mindless servants. Whatever this dark side is, it won't break me. I hope you're right, Fulcrum said. Because the Empire is mobilizing resources we've never seen before. Not for a single individual. If they capture you, if they turn you... She didn't finish the thought. Hera changed the subject. What's the rebellion's position? Do the leadership cells know about Shepard? Senator Organa has been briefed. He's intrigued but cautious. Wants confirmation that Commander Shepard is genuine and not an Imperial trap. Fulcrum's eyes fixed on Shepard. Can you prove your story? Give us something verifiable. Shepard activated the Omni tool. The holographic display materialized, showing schematics, data files, star charts utterly foreign to Star Wars technology. This is my service record. Commander of the SSV Normandy SR-2, N7 Special Forces, battles against the Collectors, the Geth, Reaper forces. If your scientists examine this data, they'll confirm it's not fabricated. The technology alone should prove I'm not from this universe. Fulcrum studied the hologram, her analytical mind processing implications. I'll need to take a copy. Have our people verify. Agreed. The data transfer took seconds. Fulcrum examined the files, her expression shifting from skepticism to wonder. The level of detail here. The quantum encryption. Commander, this could revolutionize our understanding of dimensional physics. Or it could help me find a way home, Shepard said quietly. Fulcrum's expression softened. We'll do everything we can. But Commander, you need to understand. The rebellion is barely surviving. We have brilliant scientists, but limited resources. The Empire controls most of the galaxy's research facilities. Finding a way to reverse a dimensional breach might take years, decades. Then I'll fight while I wait, Shepard said simply. Hera's offered me a place in Phoenix Cell. I'm accepting. Just like that? Fulcrum looked surprised. You've been here less than a day, and you're committing to a war that's not yours? I've seen what the Empire does. Slavery, genocide, crushing hope wherever it appears. Shepard's voice carried the weight of experience. I've fought wars like this before. I know what's at stake. Fulcrum studied the commander for a long moment, then nodded slowly. Welcome to the rebellion, Commander. May the Force be with you. I don't have the Force, Shepard reminded her. Maybe not, Fulcrum smiled faintly. But you've got something just as dangerous. Hope and skill. That's more than most of us have. The meeting concluded with logistics, supply coordinates, communication protocols, extraction plans if things went wrong. As they prepared to leave, Fulcrum pulled Hera aside, speaking quietly enough that only the Twi'lek could hear. Keep the commander close. If Vader wants them, he'll tear through entire sectors to get them. Your cell is now the Empire's priority target. I know, Hera replied, but we've faced worse odds. Have you? Fulcrum's tone was grim. Vader doesn't lose, Hera. He doesn't fail. If he decides to come for you personally, then we'll deal with it. Hera's resolve was absolute. We've survived this long by adapting, by being unpredictable. Shepard gives us an edge we've never had. Military experience, tactical genius, and power that the Empire doesn't understand. We can use that. Fulcrum nodded, though her worry was evident. Just be careful. The galaxy's changing, and I'm not sure we're ready for what's coming." They departed the cantina separately, vanishing into Geral's crowds. Aboard the Executor, Vader received the updated intelligence reports. His agents on Garel had observed the meeting, captured images of Shepard's Omni-Tool display. The Dark Lord studied the holographic projections, alien star charts, unfamiliar ship designs, technological specifications that surpassed even the Empire's most advanced research. This was no Force wielder. This was something far more valuable. A gateway to another universe, another galaxy of resources, worlds, power waiting to be claimed. The Emperor would want this prize, would want to dissect it, study it, exploit it. But Vader's ambitions ran deeper. If this Commander Shepard could be turned, if their knowledge could be extracted, if the technology they possessed could be replicated. The Emperor's rule was absolute. But absolute rule could be challenged by those with sufficient power. And power, Vader had learned, came in many forms. "Prepare my shuttle," the Dark Lord commanded. "I'm going to Lothal personally. This hunt requires my direct attention." The order rippled through the Executor's crew. Officers moved with desperate efficiency, knowing that failure in Vader's presence meant death. The hunt had escalated. And across the galaxy, Commander Shepard felt a chill, not through the Force, but through pure survival instinct honed across a lifetime of war. Something terrible was coming, something inevitable. The Rebellion's intelligence network had been tracking Imperial activity on Scarif for months. The tropical world housed a critical data vault, construction plans, weapons research, strategic deployments. Information that could save lives, reveal weaknesses, maybe even turn the tide of the war. Phoenix Cell received the assignment 48 hours after Shepard's integration. Infiltrate the Citadel Tower, extract classified files on a new Imperial project, code-named Stardust, and escape before the garrison could respond. High risk, minimal support. Exactly the kind of operation the Rebellion specialized in. "This is insane," Zeb muttered as the Ghost approached Scarif's orbital gate. "We're gonna walk right into an Imperial stronghold and just politely ask for their secrets? We're going to infiltrate using stolen codes, bypass their security, and extract before they know we're there," Hera corrected from the pilot's seat. "Completely different. Still insane." Shepard studied the tactical display. Scarif's planetary shield required all incoming ships to pass through a single orbital gate. Imperial security protocols demanded proper clearance codes and transponder verification. One mistake, and the entire Imperial fleet stationed in-system would be on them. "The codes Fulcrum provided," Shepard asked. "How recent are they?" 72 hours old, Sabine replied. "Stolen from an Imperial courier. Should still be valid." "Should." Shepard's tone was flat. "Should isn't good enough for an operation like this." "It's the best we've got," Hera said. "Welcome to Rebellion Logistics, Commander. We work with what we have, not what we'd like." The Ghost transmitted the clearance codes. Tense seconds passed. The orbital gate's massive doors began to open, revealing the turquoise jewel of Scarif below. Pristine beaches, tropical forests, and the stark, angular towers of the Imperial facility rising from the shoreline like metal teeth. "Clearance accepted," the Imperial controller's voice crackled through the comm. "Proceed to landing pad 9. Cargo inspection will commence upon arrival." "Copy that, Control," Hera replied smoothly. Proceeding to landing pad 9. The comm clicked off. Sabine let out a breath she'd been holding. "Phase 1 complete," she said. "Now we just have to land, infiltrate the most secure Imperial facility in the sector, steal classified data, and escape. Easy." "Your optimism is noted," Shepard said dryly. Ezra was quiet, sitting in the common area with his eyes closed. His connection to the Force gave him insights the others lacked. When he opened his eyes, his expression was troubled. "I feel something," he said quietly. "Something dark. Scorif isn't just a data vault. There's pain here. Suffering. The Force is heavy with it." "Imperial facilities tend to have that effect," Zeb growled. "Slave labor, prisoners. The Empire doesn't care who it breaks." Shepard's jaw tightened. The pattern repeated across universes. Tyrants built their power on the backs of those they enslaved, justified cruelty with efficiency, sacrificed morality for control. The Collectors had been the same. The Batarians, Cerberus, in their worst moments. Some things were universal. Landing Pad 9 was a Durasteel platform overlooking the ocean. Imperial cargo haulers moved containers, while stormtroopers patrolled in standard formations. The Ghost's ramp descended, and the crew emerged in stolen Imperial uniforms. Technicians, maintenance workers, forgettable faces in a sea of identical gray. Shepard's N7 armor was concealed beneath a bulky technician's coverall, the helmet replaced with a cap pulled low. The Omni tool was hidden, though its scanning functions remained active, mapping the facility's layout in real time. "Stay calm," Hera murmured through the concealed comlink. "We belong here. Act like it." They moved through security checkpoints with practiced confidence. Sabine had sliced the facility's personnel database, inserting false credentials. The stormtroopers waved them through without question, just another maintenance crew responding to a work order. Inside the Citadel Tower, the architecture shifted from tropical beauty to cold, imperial efficiency. White corridors, uniformed officers, the omnipresent hum of data processing. Somewhere in this tower's depths, the information they needed waited. "Security hub is 3 levels down," Sabine whispered, consulting her datapad. "I can splice into the system from there, locate the Stardust files." "And then?" Shepard asked. "Then we download, run like hell, and hope we make it to the ship before the entire garrison locks down the facility." "Solid plan," Zeb said sarcastically. They descended via maintenance lifts, avoiding main corridors. Shepard's tactical training screamed warnings at every corner. Too many variables, too many unknowns, insufficient intelligence about the facility's layout. But asymmetric warfare demanded accepting risks that conventional military doctrine would never tolerate. The security hub was a circular chamber filled with monitoring stations and holographic displays. 2 technicians worked at consoles, while a single security officer supervised. Ezra reached out through the Force, gently nudging the officer's attention away as the Phoenix Cell team entered. "Scheduled maintenance," Hera announced, showing forged credentials. The officer barely glanced at them. "Bay 7, climate control malfunction." "Understood." They moved to an isolated console. Sabine's fingers flew across the interface, slicing through security protocols with practiced skill. The Mandalorian was a genuine artist. Shepard had seen hackers before, but Sabine moved through Imperial encryption like it was transparent. "Got it," she breathed. "Stardust files. They're massive. This isn't just a weapons project. This is..." Her eyes widened. "Oh no." "What?" Hera leaned closer. "This is schematics for a battle station, not a ship. A moon-sized installation." Sabine's voice was shaking. "Equipped with a super laser capable of destroying planets. Complete planetary annihilation." Silence. Even through the comlink, Shepard could feel the weight of that revelation settling over the team. "The Death Star," Shepard said quietly. "This is the genocide weapon you mentioned." "It's not theoretical," Sabine whispered. "It's built. 97% complete. Operational within months." The implications were staggering. The Empire wasn't just maintaining control through fear. It was building the ultimate instrument of terror. A weapon that could erase entire civilizations with a single shot. "Download everything," Hera ordered. "Every schematic, every specification. The rebellion needs this." Sabine initiated the transfer. Progress bars crept across her display. 15%, 25%. And then alarms shrieked through the facility. "Security breach. Sector 7. Unauthorized data access." Red lights flooded the corridors. Blast doors began slamming shut. Throughout the Citadel Tower, stormtroopers mobilized, rushing toward the security hub. "How?" Sabine stared at her console in disbelief. "I didn't trip any. Doesn't matter," Shepard snapped. "How long for the download?" 3 minutes. Then we hold for 3 minutes. The commander shed the coverall, revealing the N7 armor beneath. The assault rifle swung up, thermal clip loaded. "Defensive positions, now." The team moved with drilled precision. Zeb activated his bow rifle, the electrostaff crackling to life. Ezra ignited his lightsaber, blue energy humming with lethal promise. Hera drew her blaster, positioning behind cover. "Chopper, get the Ghost ready for immediate departure," Hera transmitted. "We're about to have company." The astromech's response was a string of panicked beeps. The first wave of stormtroopers burst through the entrance. Shepard's rifle barked, not blaster fire, but mass accelerator rounds moving at hypersonic velocity. The thermal clip superheated each projectile, turning them into armor-piercing death. 3 troopers dropped before they could return fire. "What kind of weapon is that?" one of the Imperial technicians screamed before Zeb's bow rifle stunned him unconscious. More troopers poured in. Blaster fire filled the chamber, crimson bolts streaking through the air. Ezra deflected shots with his lightsaber, the Force guiding his movements. Hera fired with calculated precision, each shot finding gaps in armor. Shepard fought like a machine. Tactical movement, controlled bursts, brutal efficiency. A biotic throw hurled 2 troopers into the wall with bone-breaking force. The Omni blade deployed, slicing through a rifle before driving into a trooper's chest plate. 1 minute, Sabine shouted, still working the console even as blaster fire scorched the air around her. An Imperial officer appeared at the entrance, flanked by heavy assault troopers. "Deploy detonators! Bring them down!" Thermal detonators arced through the air. Shepard's biotic barrier flared, catching one mid-flight and hurling it back. The explosion tore through the Imperial ranks, shrapnel and fire consuming half a dozen troopers. But more kept coming. Always more. 30 seconds! Zeb roared, charging forward with his bow rifle spinning. He crashed into the Imperial line like a wrecking ball, scattering troopers, buying seconds they desperately needed. Ezra reached out through the Force, collapsing a section of ceiling onto advancing reinforcements. But the effort left him gasping, sweat pouring down his face. "Download complete!" Sabine yanked the data chip from the console. "Go, go, go!" They ran. The facility was in full lockdown now. Every corridor crawled with stormtroopers. Blast doors sealed off direct routes. TIE fighters were already launching from the orbital platforms above. Shepard's tactical mind processed escape routes at superhuman speed. "Sabine, can you override the blast doors?" "Not fast enough. They'll catch us before... Then we go through them." Biotic energy erupted around Shepard's form, building to critical intensity. "Everyone get back." The team dove for cover. Shepard unleashed a biotic charge directly into the sealed blast door. The impact was cataclysmic. Dark energy meeting durasteel in a collision that bent physics. The door screamed, metal warping, bolts shearing, the entire frame buckling. The door exploded outward. "Move!" They sprinted through the smoking gap. Behind them, stormtroopers gave chase, blaster fire chasing their heels. Ahead, landing pad 9 was visible through the transparasteel windows, and the Ghost, engines already burning hot. But between them and the ship, 30 stormtroopers forming a firing line. "We're pinned!" Hera shouted. Shepard assessed the situation. No cover. 30 rifles aimed at their position. reinforcements closing from behind. Conventional tactics said this was a kill box, but Shepard had never been conventional. "Ezra," the commander said calmly, "can you shield us for 3 seconds?" The young Jedi's eyes widened. Maybe. If I push everything I have." "Do it." Ezra reached deep into the Force, pulling on reserves he didn't know he possessed. A shimmering barrier of Force energy materialized in front of the team. Translucent, fragile, but holding. Blaster fire slammed into it. The barrier flickered, cracked. Shepard charged forward, building biotic energy with every step. At the last second, the commander leaped, vaulting over Ezra's failing shield, body wreathed in cobalt lightning. The biotic nova detonated in the center of the stormtrooper formation. The explosion was apocalyptic. Dark energy rippled outward in a sphere of destruction, hurling bodies like rag dolls, shattering armor, cracking the durasteel floor. Windows shattered. Equipment exploded. When the light faded, 20 stormtroopers lay unconscious or worse. The remaining 10 fled. "That's what I'm talking about," Zeb roared, charging through the gap. The team raced across the landing pad. The Ghost's ramp was down, chopper beeping frantically. They piled aboard, just as TIE fighters screamed overhead, cannons blazing. "Punch it!" Hera screamed, diving into the pilot's seat. The Ghost's engines roared. The freighter lifted off just as the landing pad erupted with turbo laser fire from the orbital platforms. Hera threw the ship into a corkscrew roll, evading fire through sheer skill and desperation. "They're locking the planetary shield," Sabine warned. "If they close the gate—" "I know!" Hera's hands danced across the controls. The Ghost accelerated toward orbit, TIE fighters swarming behind them like angry insects. Shepard rushed to the dorsal gun, taking position. The targeting computer was primitive compared to Normandy systems, but functional. The commander's enhanced reflexes compensated, tracking TIE fighters with inhuman precision. Fire. Track. Fire. 3 fighters exploded in rapid succession. "Orbital gate closing!" Sabine's voice was panicked. "We're not going to make it!" The massive shield doors were grinding shut, a gap that was narrowing by the second. The Ghost was fast, but not fast enough. Unless— "Hera, emergency power to engines! Divert everything!" "That'll shut down shields. 1 hit and we're dead." "Do it!" Hera made the choice. The Ghost's shields dropped, but the engines screamed. The freighter became a missile, tearing through Scarif's atmosphere at speeds that made the hull glow red-hot. The orbital gate loomed, 50 meters wide, 40, 30. The Ghost shot through with less than 2 meters clearance on either side, and then they were in open space, the gate slamming shut behind them. "Hyperspace! Now!" Hera activated the hyperdrive. The stars stretched into lines. They were gone. In the security hub on Scarif, Imperial officers stared at the carnage. 30 stormtroopers down. Classified data stolen. The intruders escaped. The senior officer activated his comlink with trembling hands. "This is Scarif Command to Lord Vader. The rebel infiltrators have escaped with the Stardust files. Among them was the individual designated Commander Shepard. They fought through an entire battalion. Across the comm, breathing, mechanical, rhythmic, terrifying. Impressive," Vader's filtered voice finally said. "Prepare a full report. I want every detail of their tactics, their abilities, their movements." "Yes, my lord." "But sir, the data they stole includes complete Death Star schematics. If the rebellion, let them have it." Vader's tone was almost pleased. "It changes nothing. The Death Star will be operational soon. And when it is, we will use it to draw out every rebel cell in the galaxy, including Commander Shepard, especially Commander Shepard." The Dark Lord's breathing intensified. "This entity has proven resourceful, powerful. It will require my personal attention." The comm clicked, off. The officer stared at the destroyed security hub, at the scorch marks from biotic energy that Imperial science couldn't explain. The hunt was no longer a hunt, it was war. The Ghost limped into the Rebel fleet's hidden staging area, an asteroid field in the Yaga minor system, far from Imperial trade routes. Hera's piloting had been flawless, but the ship bore scorch marks from their escape, hull plating buckled in 3 places, shield generators cycling on backup power. Waiting for them was a small flotilla, 2 CR-90 corvettes, a handful of starfighters, and a modified Pelta-class frigate that served as the fleet's command ship. Nothing that could stand against even a single Star Destroyer, but enough to coordinate regional operations. Senator Bail Organa's hologram materialized in the Ghost's common room moments after they docked. The Alderaanian statesman looked exactly as Shepard had expected from the intelligence briefings, dignified, thoughtful, carrying the weight of galactic resistance on aging shoulders. Captain Syndulla, Organa's hologram inclined its head. Your transmission indicated success, despite complications. That's putting it mildly, Senator. Hera held up the data chip. We have the Death Star schematics, complete specifications, construction plans, operational parameters. But the Empire knows we have it. They let us take it. Organa's expression darkened. A trap. Possibly. Or Vader's playing a longer game. Hera gestured to Shepard. Senator, this is Commander Shepard, the dimensional traveler we reported. The hologram's focus shifted. Organa studied Shepard with the careful assessment of someone who'd spent decades evaluating allies and threats. Commander, I've read Fulcrum's reports. Your story is extraordinary. I confess skepticism, but the evidence she's provided is compelling. I don't blame you for doubting, Shepard replied. If someone told me they'd fallen through dimensions, I'd verify everything twice. A faint smile touched Organa's projected features. Pragmatic, I appreciate that. The smile faded. Your actions on Scarif have reached Imperial High Command. Grand Moff Tarkin has issued a sector-wide alert. Darth Vader has redirected 3 Star Destroyers to hunt your cell specifically. Commander, your presence has made Phoenix Cell the Empire's priority target. I'm aware, Shepard said. I can leave. Go to ground somewhere the Empire won't connect to your operations. No. Organa's voice was firm. We don't abandon allies. And frankly, Commander, you've proven more capable than most of our field operatives. That raid should have been a disaster. Instead, you fought through an Imperial battalion and escaped with critical intelligence. We need that kind of effectiveness. What's the rebellion's position? Hera asked. Are we being recalled? Reassigned? Neither. Organa leaned forward, his hologram flickering slightly. I'm authorizing Phoenix Cell for expanded operations. Senator Mothma, and I agree. Commander Shepard represents an asset we cannot afford to waste. Your unique abilities, your tactical experience, your technology, these are force multipliers we desperately need. Ezra spoke up, his voice uncertain. Senator, what about Vader? He's hunting us personally now. That's not something we can just ignore. You can't, Organa agreed gravely. Which is why I'm assigning additional resources. 2 more cells will coordinate with Phoenix, Ghost Company, and Knife Squadron. Combined operations, shared intelligence, mutual support. If Vader comes for you, you won't face him alone. Shepard processed the tactical implications. 3 rebel cells working in concert could accomplish objectives impossible for isolated teams. But coordination meant complexity, communication risks, command structure conflicts. The rebellion's decentralized organization had kept it alive, but also kept it weak. Senator, Shepard said carefully, with respect, Coordinating multiple cells requires unified command. Who's in charge of combined operations? Organa's pause was telling. That's complicated. The rebellion doesn't have formal military hierarchy. Each cell operates autonomously, with mission parameters provided by… That's a recipe for disaster, Shepard interrupted. Military protocol demanded deference to civilian leadership, but tactical honesty was more important. Autonomous cells work for hit-and-run raids. For coordinated campaigns against an enemy like the Empire, you need command structure, clear authority, someone who can make decisions in real time without waiting for committee approval. Silence. Even through the hologram, Organa's discomfort was visible. Commander, the rebellion is built on rejecting authoritarian power structures. Concentrating military authority in a single commander risks replicating the Empire's. The Empire wins because they have unified command. Shepard cut in again. Vader doesn't debate tactics with his officers. Tarkin doesn't hold committee meetings before orbital bombardments. They decide, they act, they win. If the rebellion wants to survive, it needs to accept that military operations require military leadership. Hera winced. Challenging Senator Organa this directly was dangerous, politically, operationally. But Shepard's expression was unyielding. Organa studied the commander for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. You're absolutely right. Everyone in the room looked shocked. Senator, Hera ventured. Commander Shepard is correct, Organa said. Senator Mothma and I have been arguing this point for months. The rebellion's decentralized structure kept us alive in the early days, but we're reaching a point where coordination is essential. We need unified military command. His gaze fixed on Shepard. Which is why I'm offering you a position. Special Operations Commander. You'd coordinate high-risk missions across multiple cells with tactical authority over field operations. Shepard hadn't expected that. Senator, I've been in this galaxy for 3 days. Your people don't know me, don't trust me. They will. Organa's tone was absolute. You've already proven yourself on Lothal and Scarif. Your tactical thinking is exactly what we need. And frankly, Commander, someone from outside our galaxy brings a perspective none of us have. No political baggage, no old grudges or factional loyalties, just military competence. I'm not a politician, Shepard warned. I won't soften orders to protect feelings. I won't sacrifice missions for optics. I wouldn't want you to. Organa's smile was genuine now. War requires hard choices. I've made enough to know that. What I need is someone who can make those choices without hesitation, who will prioritize victory over comfort. Can you do that? Shepard had led the Normandy crew through impossible odds, had commanded Alliance forces against the Collectors, had made decisions that saved billions and cost thousands. This was familiar ground. I can, the commander said, but I have conditions. Name them. First, I answer to you and Senator Mothma on strategic objectives, but tactical decisions in the field are mine. No second guessing, no overruling, unless the mission parameters fundamentally change. Agreed. Second, I need access to rebellion resources, technical specialists, intelligence networks, supply chains. I can't coordinate operations blind. You'll have full access. Third, my methods might not match Jedi philosophy. I'll avoid civilian casualties where possible, but I won't handicap operations to maintain moral purity. War is ugly. Pretending otherwise gets people killed. Organa's expression was somber. Commander, the Jedi Order is gone. We honor their ideals, but we're not bound by their restrictions. Do what's necessary to win. Just try to keep us from becoming the thing we're fighting. Fair enough. Shepard extended a hand, then realized the hologram made the gesture pointless. Then I accept. When do I start? Immediately. Organa transmitted data files. Your first coordinated operation targets an Imperial communications relay on both Awui. The facility routes encrypted transmissions across 3 sectors. If we can take it intact, we'll gain intelligence on fleet movements, garrison deployments, maybe even Vader's location. Shepard pulled up the mission parameters on the Omni tool. Heavy defenses, orbital coverage, multiple garrison battalions, standard high-value target. I'll need 12 hours for planning, Shepard said. Full intelligence workup, equipment checks, coordination with the other cells. You have 6, Organa replied. Vader is hunting you specifically now, Commander. Every hour we delay gives him time to narrow the search grid. We strike fast, keep him off balance. Understood. The hologram flickered. One last thing, Commander. The data from Scarif, the Death Star schematics. Our analysts are studying them now. But early assessments suggest this weapon is months from completion. When it becomes operational, the Empire will have the power to destroy any world that defies them. Everything changes at that moment. Then we need to find a way to destroy it, Shepard said simply. A battle station the size of a moon? Zeb laughed bitterly. With what? Our entire fleet wouldn't scratch its armor. Every weapon has a weakness, Shepard countered. Every system has failure points. We study the schematics. We find the vulnerability. We exploit it. I hope you're right, Organa said quietly. Because if you're wrong, the rebellion dies with the first planet the Death Star destroys. The hologram began to fade. May the Force be with you, Commander. All of you. The transmission ended. The Ghost's crew sat in silence for a moment, processing the weight of what had just happened. Shepard, 3 days in this universe, was now coordinating rebel operations. The kid from another galaxy was suddenly a military commander with tactical authority over multiple cells. Well, Sabine finally said, that escalated quickly. Senator Organa's not usually that decisive, Hera mused. He must really believe in you, Commander. Or he's desperate, Shepard replied honestly. Desperate people make bold moves. Ezra was frowning, his connection to the Force giving him insights the others lacked. There's something else. I felt it when the Senator mentioned the Death Star, a disturbance, like the Force itself is screaming a warning. The Emperor, Shepard guessed. If the Death Star is his weapon, he'd be watching anyone who threatens it. More than watching. Ezra's expression was haunted. He knows about you now, Commander. I can feel his attention like a predator's eyes in the dark. He's not just aware, he's interested. On Coruscant, in the deepest levels of the Imperial Palace, Emperor Palpatine sat upon his throne. The chamber was darkness made manifest, shadows so deep they seemed to devour light itself. Before him, holographic displays showed the raid on Scarif in excruciating detail. He watched Commander Shepard move through Imperial forces, watched the biotic abilities that defied his understanding of the Force, watched power that originated from beyond this reality. Curious, Palpatine murmured, his voice like dry leaves scraping stone. An intruder from another dimension. Power without midi-chlorians. Energy that exists outside the Force's influence. His withered fingers steepled together. Lord Vader believes this entity can be turned, broken, made to serve. The Emperor's smile was terrible. But I see something far more valuable. A gateway, a bridge to other realities, other galaxies ripe for conquest. He gestured, and the hologram shifted to show star charts, speculative projections based on data fragments captured from Shepard's Omni tool during the Scarif raid. Entire galaxies, billions of worlds, countless species, an empire beyond imagining. Bring them to me, Palpatine commanded the empty chamber. Alive, intact. I will extract every fragment of knowledge from their mind. I will learn how they came to be here. and I will use that knowledge to extend my rule beyond this galaxy." The darkness seemed to pulse with his words, the Force itself recoiling from his ambition. Let the rebellion have their small victories. Let them believe they matter. When the Death Star is complete, I will use Commander Shepard as bait to draw out every insurgent cell in the galaxy. And when they're assembled, his laughter was a sound without joy, without humanity. I will crush them all at once and claim my prize. Aboard the Ghost, Shepard felt nothing. No Force warning, no premonition. Just the tactical awareness that came from decades of combat experience, the sense that a much larger game was being played, with pieces the commander couldn't yet see. 6 hours until the Botawui operation, Shepard announced. Hera, I need full crew briefing in 2 hours. Sabine, prepare technical assessment of the communications relay's defenses. Zeb, equipment check. I need to know what weapons we have available. Ezra. The young Jedi looked up. I need to understand the Force. If Vader's hunting us, if the Emperor's interested, I need to know what I'm facing. Can you teach me the basics? Ezra blinked in surprise. You want to learn about the Force? But you can't touch it. You don't have midi-chlorians. I don't need to use it. I need to understand it. Know how Force users think, fight, react. Knowledge is a weapon. And right now, I'm fighting blind against an enemy whose abilities I don't understand. A slow smile spread across Ezra's face. My master always said the first step to wisdom is admitting ignorance. Yeah, Commander. I'll teach you what I know. 2 hours, Shepard repeated. Then we plan an operation that'll make the Empire realize they've made a mistake. What kind of mistake? Sabine asked. Shepard's expression was cold, determined. The face of someone who'd fought extinction and won. The mistake of thinking I'll break when they come for me. They want to hunt? Fine. Let's show them what happens when the prey fights back. The crew of the Ghost exchanged glances, feeling something shift in the air. Commander Shepard wasn't just another rebel operative, wasn't just a dimensional refugee seeking survival. This was a soldier who'd toppled empires before, and the galaxy was about to learn what that meant. The Botawui operation was a success, too much of a success. Phoenix Cell, coordinated with Ghost Company and Knife Squadron, had struck the Imperial communications relay with surgical precision. Shepard's tactical planning had been flawless. Simultaneous attacks on 3 power nodes, timed detonations that crippled defenses before the garrison could respond. Extraction completed in under 12 minutes. They'd captured terabytes of encrypted data, intelligence on fleet movements, garrison, rotations, supply routes, and coordinates for a secret Imperial facility on Mustafar. This doesn't make sense, Fulcrum said, studying the decrypted files aboard the Rebel command frigate. Her hologram flickered in the Ghost's common room. These coordinates were buried deep in the communications array, triple encrypted with protocols normally reserved for the Emperor's personal transmissions. Why would they be in a relay station we could realistically raid? Shepard had been thinking the same thing. It's bait. Obviously, Fulcrum agreed. But bait for what? The facility on Mustafar is listed as a mining operation, but the power consumption data suggests something else entirely. Industrial-scale energy draws, shielded research laboratories, restricted Imperial personnel only. Hera leaned over the holographic display. Mustafar, that's Vader's world. His personal fortress is there. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. You think Vader himself set this trap? Sabine asked. I think someone wants us to go there, Shepard said carefully. The question is why? If it's just to kill us, the Empire has easier methods. Star destroyers, orbital bombardment. Why lure us to a specific location? Ezra closed his eyes, reaching out through the Force. When he opened them again, his expression was troubled. I feel darkness. Massive, suffocating darkness. but also something else. Something that doesn't belong, like two storms about to collide. Poetic, Zeb muttered, but not helpful. It means this is personal, Ezra insisted. Vader doesn't just want to kill Commander Shepard. He wants to face them. Test them. Shepard understood that psychology, had seen it before in opponents who viewed combat as validation. Harbinger, certain collectors, even some human adversaries. Warriors who needed to prove superiority through direct confrontation. If it's a trap, Hera said slowly, we don't go. Simple as that. We take the intelligence we've gathered and use it for other operations. Except we can't, Fulcrum countered. The facility on Mustafar is apparently conducting research on dimensional anomalies and exotic energy sources. That's the exact terminology. They're studying you, Commander. Whatever brought you to this galaxy, the Empire is trying to replicate it. Silence. If they succeed, Shepard said quietly, they could open portals to other universes, including mine. The implications were staggering. The Galactic Empire gaining access to Mass Effect technology, to Element Zero, to the Relay Network, an authoritarian regime spreading across multiple realities. We have to destroy that facility, Shepard concluded, regardless of the risk. It's a trap, Hera repeated. Vader will be there, waiting. I know. Shepard's expression was grim, which is why I go alone. Absolutely not, Hera snapped. We're a team. We don't… If Vader wants me specifically, putting the entire cell at risk is tactically stupid, Shepard interrupted. I infiltrate, plant charges, destroy the research, extract, standard sabotage operation. You provide orbital support and emergency extraction if things go wrong. When things go wrong, Zeb corrected. This is Vader we're talking about. Things will go wrong. Then I adapt. Shepard's tone left no room for argument. This is non-negotiable. That research has to be destroyed, and I'm not sacrificing this crew to do it. Ezra stepped forward, his young face set with determination. Then I'm going with you. Ezra, I'm the only one here who can sense Vader through the Force, who can give you warning before he strikes. The young Jedi's hand rested on his lightsaber. You need me, Commander. And I need to face him eventually. My master always said running from fear only makes it stronger. Shepard studied the kid. 19 years old, barely trained, going up against the Empire's apex predator. But the determination in Ezra's eyes was absolute. Fine, Shepard said, but you follow my orders. No heroics. No engaging Vader directly unless absolutely necessary. We're saboteurs, not warriors. Understand? Understood. Hera looked like she wanted to argue further, but she recognized the tactical reality. If the Empire was researching dimensional technology, it had to be stopped. And if Vader was there, someone had to face him eventually. We'll maintain position at the edge of the Mustafar system, she finally said, ready for immediate extraction. But Commander, if Vader corners you, you run. You don't try to fight him. You run, and we'll figure out survival from there. Noted, Shepard replied non-committally. Mustafar was hell-given planetary form. Rivers of lava carved through volcanic rock. The atmosphere was superheated ash and toxic gases. The sky glowed red-orange with reflected firelight. The only Imperial facility visible from orbit was Vader's fortress, a black tower rising from a lava plateau like a monument to suffering. But the facility Shepard sought was hidden beneath the volcanic surface, accessible only through a mining tunnel system that burrowed deep into Mustafar's crust. The infiltration shuttle, a captured Imperial transport, descended through the hellish atmosphere. Ezra sat across from Shepard, meditating, preparing his mind for what was coming. The commander checked equipment one final time. Assault rifle with the last thermal clip, Heavy pistol, Omni blade, biotic reserves at full capacity. "You're scared," Ezra said suddenly, eyes still closed. "Yes," Shepard admitted. "No point lying to a Force sensitive." "Good. Fear keeps you sharp." The young Jedi opened his eyes. "My master taught me that courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite fear. You're one of the bravest people I've ever met, Commander. I'm just doing what needs to be done. That's what makes it brave." The shuttle entered the mining tunnel, descending into darkness broken only by pools of magma. Heat warnings flashed across Shepard's hood, the armor's cooling systems struggling against the extreme environment. They landed on a platform deep underground. The facility entrance was a massive blast door bearing Imperial insignia. No guards visible. No defenses active. Too quiet. "He's here," Ezra whispered, hand moving to his lightsaber. "I can feel him. The dark side is overwhelming." "Can you pinpoint his location?" "Everywhere." Ezra's voice shook. "It's like he is this place. His presence saturates every corridor." Shepard activated the Omni tool, running structural scans. The facility was smaller than expected, just 3 main chambers. One appeared to be a laboratory, one a data vault, and the third was a throne room. "He's waiting in the center chamber," Shepard said quietly. "Classic trap. Forces us to pass through his position to reach the research." "So what do we do?" Shepard considered tactical options. Bypass was impossible. The facility was designed with a single path. Stealth was pointless against an opponent who could sense presence through the Force. Conventional assault would be suicide, which left one option: meet the challenge head-on. "We go in," Shepard said. "Plant charges in the laboratory, overload the research equipment, then fight our way out." "That's a terrible plan. You have a better one?" Ezra was quiet. Then, "No." They approached the blast door. It hissed open before they could attempt a bypass. Invitation or taunt, impossible to tell. Inside, the facility was austere. Black metal walls, red lighting that pulsed like a heartbeat. The air tasted of ozone and old death. They moved through empty corridors, weapons ready, every nerve screaming warnings. The laboratory was a nightmare of Imperial science. Containment fields held swirling energies that resembled biotic power. Holographic displays showed diagrams of dimensional tiers, quantum calculations, attempting to replicate the phenomena that had brought Shepard here. Banks of computers processed data at speeds that would shame Citadel technology. "They're close," Ezra breathed, studying the readouts. "Another month, maybe 2, and they'd be able to open portals." Shepard planted charges on the containment fields, the power cores, the data banks. Enough explosives to reduce the facility to slag. The Omni-Tool's timer was set. 5 minutes. "Done," Shepard said. "Now, we." The lights went out. Emergency lighting flickered on, blood red, casting everything in hellish shadows. And then they heard it. Breathing. Mechanical. Rhythmic. Inevitable. Darth Vader emerged from the darkness. He was taller than the recordings suggested, nearly 7 feet, clad in black armor that seemed to absorb light. The helmet's eyes glowed with inner fire, the cape billowed despite the lack of wind, and the lightsaber at his belt hummed with barely restrained violence. "Commander Shepard," Vader's filtered voice filled the chamber. "You have traveled far, sacrificed much, fought admirably." Shepard's rifle snapped up. Ezra ignited his lightsaber, blue energy casting shadows across his terrified face. "And now," Vader continued, "you will kneel before the Emperor's power, or you will die." He ignited his lightsaber. Crimson energy roared to life, and with it came a presence in the Force so massive, so crushing, that Ezra staggered. The young Jedi felt his connection to the Force waver under the sheer weight of Vader's dark side mastery. Shepard fired. The thermal clip round streaked toward Vader at hypersonic velocity. The Dark Lord's lightsaber moved in a blur, deflecting, redirecting, each shot either blocked or sent ricocheting into the walls. He advanced slowly, deliberately, each step an inevitability. Shepard switched tactics. A biotic throw ripped a console from the floor and hurled it at Vader's head. The Dark Lord raised his left hand. The Force caught the debris mid-flight, crushed it into compacted metal, and threw it back twice as fast. Shepard's barrier absorbed the impact but flickered dangerously. The commander rolled aside, firing again, keeping mobile, refusing to let Vader set the engagement's terms. "Ezra!" Shepard shouted. "The charges! Get out!" "I'm not leaving you." "That's an order!" Vader turned his attention to the young Jedi. "Ezra Bridger, Padawan of Kanan Jarrus. Caleb Doom. Yes, I know your master. I will find him. I will kill him. And I will make you watch." Rage flooded Ezra. He charged, lightsaber raised. Vader barely moved. The Force seized Ezra mid-strike and slammed him into the wall hard enough to crack armor. The young Jedi crumpled, gasping. "Predictable," Vader said. "Like all Jedi. Emotional. Weak." Shepard unleashed a biotic charge, becoming a comet of dark energy that crashed into Vader, with enough force to stagger a Krogan. The Dark Lord stumbled backward 3 steps, the first time anyone had physically moved him in years. His helmet turned toward Shepard, and through the Force, the Dark Lord felt surprise. "Impressive," Vader said. His lightsaber spun in a defensive pattern. "You are strong, far stronger than any Jedi I have faced. But strength without discipline is merely violence." He attacked. The duel that followed was apocalyptic. Vader's lightsaber carved through reality itself. Each strike meant to bisect, to kill. Shepard met him with biotic barriers and Omni Blade, deflecting rather than blocking, using mobility to counter-reach. A slam detonated beneath Vader's feet. The Dark Lord leaped, landing 20 meters away, using the Force to cushion his descent. Shepard fired mid-leap, forcing Vader to deflect while airborne. "You fight like a soldier," Vader observed. "Not a warrior. You seek victory, not honor." "Honor doesn't win wars," Shepard shot back. "No." Vader's breathing intensified. "Power does." He reached out through the Force and pulled. Shepard felt invisible pressure seize their entire body, lifting them off the ground. The grip tightened, ribs creaking, armor groaning, cybernetics screaming warnings. Shepard fought back with biotics. Dark energy erupted, clashing against Force power in a battle of wills. The two energies, one from the Force, one from dark energy manipulation, collided and sparked, creating a feedback loop that shattered equipment around them. "You cannot win!" Vader roared, pouring more power into the Force grip. "Watch me!" Shepard detonated a biotic nova at point-blank range. The explosion consumed the chamber. Vader's grip broke. Both combatants were hurled backward. Shepard crashed through a workstation, armor smoking. Vader slammed into the far wall, his breath ragged. The charges beeped their 90-second warning. Ezra, recovered enough to move, grabbed Shepard's arm. "Commander, we have to go." Vader rose slowly, lightsaber still burning. He was wounded, armor cracked, breathing labored. But he was laughing. "Yes," the Dark Lord said. "Run. Live another day. Grow stronger." His presence pressed against them like physical weight. "The Emperor wants you alive, Commander Shepard. But I want you broken. I want you to beg for the mercy of death before I grant it." "You'll have to catch me first," Shepard retorted. They ran. Vader watched them flee, making no effort to pursue. The charges would destroy the facility, yes, but the data had already been transmitted, the research preserved. This was always the plan. Let Commander Shepard think they had won. Let them believe they had thwarted Imperial plans. The Emperor's trap was far more subtle than mere assassination. The charges detonated. The facility exploded in a pillar of fire that pierced Mustafar's volcanic sky. The extraction was chaos. The ghost screamed through Mustafar's atmosphere as the facility exploded below, lava geysers erupting in sympathy with the detonations. Shepard and Ezra barely made it to the landing zone, their stolen shuttle consumed in the blast. They ran across superheated rock, while TIE fighters materialized from the smoke, cannons blazing. Hera pulled off a maneuver that defied physics, dropping the ghost into a near-vertical dive, ramp open, scooping them up while barrel rolling to evade incoming fire. Shepard tumbled into the cargo bay, Ezra right behind, both gasping for air. "Go! Go! Go!" Shepard shouted. The ghost's engines roared to full burn. They punched through the atmosphere with 3 TIE fighters on their tail, turbo laser fire from orbital platforms carving through the space around them. "Jump coordinates calculated," Sabine yelled from her station. "Not yet." Hera's hands danced across controls. "Too much debris. We'll tear ourselves apart if we jump now." An explosion rocked the ship. Shields dropped to 40%. "Now, Hera!" Zeb roared from the dorsal gun. The stars stretched into lines. Hyperspace swallowed them. They emerged in an unmarked system, dead space between sectors, far from any Imperial presence. The ghost drifted on minimal power, while the crew caught their breath. Shepard sat in the cargo bay, armor scorched black, 3 ribs cracked despite the kinetic barriers, cybernetic implants running damage diagnostics. Ezra leaned against a bulkhead, trembling from force exhaustion and the terror of facing Vader. We did it," the young Jedi finally managed. "We destroyed the facility." "Did we?" Shepard's tone was flat. "Vader let us go, Ezra. He could have killed us both. Instead, he watched us run. Maybe the explosions forced him to retreat. Vader doesn't retreat from explosions." Shepard pulled up the Omnitool's combat recordings, reviewing the fight frame by frame. "Look, here. When I detonated the Nova, he had 3 seconds to force crush us before the charges went off. 3 seconds. More than enough time. But he stepped back. Let us reach the exit." Ezra studied the footage, his stomach sinking. He wanted us to escape, which means the facility wasn't the real objective. Shepard's fists clenched. "We were played. The whole operation. Both the WUI, the coordinates, the research. It was all designed to put me in a room with Vader. But why? Assessment." Shepard's voice was bitter. "He was testing me, measuring my capabilities, my tactics, my limits. Now the Empire knows exactly what I can do." The cargo bay door hissed open. Hera entered, her expression grim. "We just received a transmission from Fulcrum, coded, high priority." "What does it say?" "The Empire is mobilizing. 6 Star Destroyers, 2 Interdictor cruisers, and the Executor, Vader's flagship, are converging on the Lothal sector." Hera's voice was tight. "They're setting a trap, something big. For us. For the entire rebellion." Hera pulled up a holographic tactical display. "Imperial intelligence broadcasts are claiming they've discovered the location of our main supply depot. Every rebel cell in 3 sectors is being called to defend it. It's going to be the largest fleet engagement since the rebellion began." Shepard's tactical mind immediately saw the problem. It's bait. The Empire wants to force a major engagement, draw out our scattered forces into one location where they can be destroyed en masse. "Senator Organa knows," Hera said. "But he also says we can't not respond. That supply depot represents months of accumulated resources. Food, medicine, weapons. If we abandon it without a fight, half our cells will starve or go dark within weeks." And if you commit your fleet, the Empire crushes you in a conventional battle. Shepard stood despite the pain. Classic strategic trap. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. Unless we find a third option, Ezra said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. What if we don't fight the battle they want? The young Jedi's eyes were bright with desperate inspiration. What if we make them fight our battle instead? 2 hours later, the senior rebel leadership was assembled via hologram aboard the Ghost. Senator Organa, Senator Mon Mothma, Commander Jun Sato from Phoenix Squadron, Captain Syndulla, and now Commander Shepard, wearing patched armor and an expression of absolute focus. This plan is insane, Commander Sato said flatly, studying Shepard's tactical proposal. It's asymmetric warfare, Shepard countered. The Empire expects a conventional fleet engagement. Ship-to-ship combat, where their numerical and technological superiority guarantees victory. Instead, we give them a guerrilla operation on a scale they can't counter. Mon Mothma's hologram leaned forward, her aristocratic features thoughtful. Explain your strategy, Commander. Shepard activated the tactical display, showing the Lothal sector in 3 dimensions. The Empire is bringing overwhelming force to protect what they believe is our supply depot, 6 Star Destroyers. That's roughly 100,000 personnel, thousands of fighters, enough firepower to glass a planet. Which is why we can't win, Sato interjected. We don't need to win. We need to wound them. Shepard zoomed in on the Executor. Vader's flagship is the command center for the entire operation. If we can board it, disable its systems, create enough chaos, the entire fleet loses coordination. Star Destroyers become isolated targets instead of a unified force. Board the Executor? Organa's voice was incredulous. Commander, that ship has security that would make an Imperial palace look undefended. How do you propose? I don't propose. I volunteer. Shepard's tone was absolute. Vader wants me. The entire Empire knows I'm with Phoenix Cell. So we use that. We broadcast our position, let them track us. Let them believe they're herding us into their trap. Then, when they're focused on capturing me, a strike team infiltrates the Executor during the confusion. A suicide mission, Mon Mothma said quietly. A necessary one. Shepard met her holographic gaze. Senator, the rebellion can't win conventional battles against the Empire. Not yet. But we can win through chaos, through unpredictability, by being where they don't expect, doing what they think is impossible. That's how insurgencies survive superior forces. Ezra spoke up. I'm going with the Commander. Ezra, Hera started. Vader challenged me on Mustafar, the young Jedi said, his voice steady. Called out my master by name. This is personal now. And besides, the strike team needs a force-sensitive to sense threats, to navigate the ship's layout through the Force. The kid's right, Zeb added. And if you're boarding that nightmare ship, you'll need muscle. I'm in. Sabine? Shepard looked at the Mandalorian. She was already checking her equipment. Someone needs to slice Imperial systems and plant the viruses. Guess that's me. Hera closed her eyes briefly, then opened them with resignation. I'll coordinate the fleet elements. Keep the Imperial forces engaged long enough for you to complete the mission. She looked at each of them in turn. But understand, if this goes wrong, if you're captured or killed, the entire rebellion loses momentum, maybe permanently. Then we won't fail, Shepard said simply. Senator Organa was quiet for a long moment. Then, I cannot officially sanction this operation. The Council will never approve such a high-risk strategy. But, his expression shifted, becoming something harder. Unofficially, you have my full support. I'll ensure the fleet elements are in position. The rest is up to you, Commander. Mon Mothma nodded slowly. May the Force be with you. All of you." The holograms flickered out. The Ghost's crew sat in silence, absorbing the weight of what they'd committed to. Boarding Vader's flagship, fighting through thousands of Imperial personnel, sabotaging the Empire's command structure while the largest fleet engagement in rebellion history raged around them. "We're all going to die," Zeb said conversationally. "Probably," Shepard agreed, "but we'll make them pay for it." The preparation took 18 hours. Every weapon was checked, every system tested, every contingency planned. Shepard trained with Ezra, learning to recognize Force abilities through their effects rather than sensing them directly. Sabine prepared data spikes loaded with viruses designed to cripple Imperial networks. Zeb maintained their escape shuttle, knowing they'd have exactly one chance to flee the Executor once the mission was complete. Fulcrum provided updated intelligence. The Imperial fleet would arrive at the supply depot coordinates in 36 hours. Vader had personally assumed command of the operation, issuing orders that any ship attempting to flee should be disabled and boarded. He wanted rebels alive for interrogation, which meant the Empire was playing for keeps. The Ghost rendezvoused with the scattered rebel fleet, 23 ships total. Corvettes, frigates, modified freighters mounting weapons they were never designed to carry. Against the Imperial Armada, it looked like children's toys preparing to fight warships. But the rebellion had never been about matching the Empire's strength. It had always been about refusing to surrender. Captain Syndulla's voice came through the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, this is Phoenix Leader. You know the plan. We engage the Imperial fleet, draw their attention, create enough chaos for the strike team to infiltrate Vader's flagship. Hold the line as long as you can. If the Executor goes dark, we scatter and regroup at the fallback coordinates." Responses came back. Acknowledgements, prayers, defiant promises to make the Empire bleed. Shepard stood in the Ghost's cargo bay, checking the assault rifle one final time, the last thermal clip. After this, the weapon would be useless. Everything from Shepard's old life was degrading, breaking down, becoming relics of a universe that might as well be a dream. "Commander?" Ezra approached, his lightsaber clipped to his belt. "I wanted to ask, do you think we'll survive this?" Shepard could have lied, could have offered false reassurance. Instead, "I don't know. The odds aren't good." "Then why fight?" "Because someone has to." Shepard met the young Jedi's eyes. "Because if we don't stand against tyranny, no one will. Because the alternative, living under the Empire's boot, accepting slavery and genocide as normal, that's not living at all." Ezra smiled, sad, understanding, accepting. "My master would like you, Commander. You think like a Jedi, even if you don't have the Force. I think like a soldier who's seen too many people die for no reason." Shepard's hand rested on the young Jedi's shoulder. "Stay close during the infiltration. Watch my back. If things go wrong, we adapt," Ezra finished. "I know." The Ghost's proximity alarm chimed. Hera's voice came through. "Imperial fleet just dropped out of hyperspace. 6 Star Destroyers and the Executor. It's time." The crew assembled, weapons ready, armor sealed, faces grim with determination. "Remember," Shepard said quietly, "we're not trying to destroy the Executor. Just disable it long enough to shatter their coordination. Hit the bridge, the power core, the communication arrays. Then we run." "And Vader?" Sabine asked. "If we encounter him." Shepard's expression was cold. "We survive. No heroics. No dueling. We complete the mission and get out." Zeb checked his bow rifle. "And if he doesn't give us a choice?" Shepard's biotic energy crackled to life, cobalt lightning dancing across armored gauntlets. "Then we show the Empire what happens when they underestimate outsiders." The cargo bay door opened, revealing the captured Imperial shuttle that would serve as their infiltration vessel. Beyond it, through the viewport, The rebel fleet was forming up, tiny lights against the massive wedges of star destroyers that hung in the void like instruments of annihilation. The largest battle of the galactic civil war was about to begin, and at its center, Commander Shepard prepared to walk into the Dark Lord's lair. "Phoenix Cell," Hera's voice came through the comms, tight with emotion. "May the Force be with you." "And with you," Ezra replied softly. The shuttle launched. Space erupted with fire. The battle for the rebellion's future had begun. And somewhere aboard the Executor, Darth Vader felt the disturbance in the Force and smiled behind his mask. The prey was walking into his trap, exactly as planned. The battle was apocalyptic. Rebel corvettes danced between turbo-laser barrages, their smaller size the only advantage against the Star Destroyer's overwhelming firepower. Starfighters, X-Wings, A-Wings, aging Y-Wing bombers swarmed like insects around the Imperial warships, targeting shield generators and weapons emplacements. Explosions blossomed across the void in silent fury. The Executor hung at the center of the Imperial formation, a dagger of black steel 5 times the size of its escorts. Its weapons batteries spoke with the voice of genocide, each salvo capable of vaporizing corvettes, each turbo-laser strike a sentence of death. And through this hell, an Imperial shuttle flew. "Transmitting clearance codes now," Sabine said, her fingers flying across the console. The stolen codes were genuine, ripped from a command officer's datapad during the Botha Woi raid. They should work. Should. The Executor's tractor beams locked onto the shuttle, pulling it toward the main hangar. Shepard's tactical display showed thousands of contacts aboard the ship. Stormtroopers, officers, crew, an entire military city floating in space. "We're committed," Shepard said quietly. "Once we're inside, there's no abort. We complete the mission or die trying." "Inspirational," Zeb muttered, but his grip on the bow rifle was steady. The shuttle passed through the hangar's atmospheric shield and settled onto a landing pad. Through the viewport, Shepard could see organized chaos. TIE fighters being serviced, cargo being moved, officers shouting orders. Hundreds of personnel, any one of whom might recognize the infiltrators. "Remember," Sabine said, adjusting her stolen Imperial technician uniform. "We're transfer crew from the Devastator, here to perform emergency maintenance on the primary communication array. Keep your heads down. Don't make eye contact. Act like you belong." The ramp descended. They walked into the belly of the beast. The Executor's interior was oppressive by design. Every corridor was precisely angled to channel vision toward authority. Every bulkhead was Imperial gray, stamped with insignias that proclaimed dominion. The air itself tasted recycled, sterile, devoid of anything human. Shepard led the team through maintenance passages, following the layout Sabine had memorized from stolen schematics. They passed squads of stormtroopers, clusters of technicians, officers moving with bureaucratic urgency. Each encounter was a moment of potential disaster. But the Empire's strength was also its weakness: conformity. Everyone looked the same, dressed the same, moved with the same mechanical efficiency. 4 more gray uniformed technicians were invisible. "Communication array is 12 levels up," Sabine whispered through the concealed comlink. "But we need to hit the power distribution center first. Cut power to shields and weapons. Throw the whole ship into emergency protocols." "And the bridge?" Shepard asked. 17 levels above the hangar. But that's where Vader will be. That's where the command staff. Sabine stopped mid-sentence. They'd reached a security checkpoint. 2 stormtroopers stood before a sealed blast door, flanked by an officer with a datapad. Behind them, the corridor led deeper into the ship's critical systems. "Credentials," the officer demanded, bored routine in his voice. Sabine presented the forged access codes. The officer scanned them, his expression shifting from boredom to confusion, to alarm. These codes are Shepard's Omni Blade activated, the orange energy field driving through the officer's chest before he could finish the sentence. Zeb's bow rifle cracked against a stormtrooper's helmet. Ezra's lightsaber ignited, deflecting blaster fire from the second trooper before a force push sent him crashing into the wall. 3 seconds. 3 bodies. Alarms began shrieking. "So much for stealth," Zeb growled. "Move!" Shepard commanded. They ran. Behind them, the Executor began to wake. Security teams mobilized. Blast doors sealed. Throughout the ship, thousands of personnel received the same alert. Intruders detected. Deck 7, Section 12. All units respond. The hunt had begun. Vader felt the disturbance instantly. He stood on the Executor's bridge, observing the battle through the main viewport. The Rebel fleet was performing admirably. Their pilots showed courage that bordered on suicidal. Their tactics revealed desperation refined into art. But they were losing. Slowly, inevitably, the Empire's superior firepower was grinding them down. And now, Commander Shepard was aboard his ship. "Admiral," Vader's filtered voice cut through the bridge's controlled chaos. "Seal all hangar bays. Lock down decks 7 through 15. Deploy security teams to grid coordinates." He reached out through the Force, feeling the intruder's location. "Here, here, and here." "My lord, the intruders are moving toward the power distribution center," the Admiral reported, his voice tight with fear. "If they reach it, they will reach it," Vader said calmly. "That is their objective. But objectives are meaningless when the prey walks into the predator's jaws." He turned from the viewport, his cape billowing. "I will deal with Commander Shepard personally. Maintain fleet formation. Continue the assault on the rebel forces." "Lord Vader, the Emperor's orders were to capture the dimensional traveler alive." Vader's hand rose slightly. The Admiral's words choked off as an invisible grip closed around his throat. Not crushing, not yet, but a reminder of power absolute. "I am aware of the Emperor's wishes," Vader said softly, "and I will deliver Commander Shepard to Coruscant, alive, broken, ready to be molded." He released the Force grip. The Admiral gasped, stumbling back. "But first, I will teach them the cost of defiance." The Dark Lord swept from the bridge, stormtroopers falling into formation around him. Somewhere in the ship's depths, his prey was running. The hunt that had begun on Lothal was reaching its conclusion. The power distribution center was a cathedral of energy. Massive capacitors feeding power to shields, weapons, life support. Conduits as thick as starfighters channeled enough electricity to light entire cities. Control panels monitored power flow across a ship that was functionally a small nation. Sabine immediately set to work, her slicer's tools interfacing with Imperial systems. "Give me 3 minutes. I can redirect power, create cascading failures, maybe even company," Zeb roared. Stormtroopers poured through 3 separate entrances, 2 full squads, weapons raised, firing in disciplined volleys. Shepard's biotic barrier flared, absorbing the initial barrage. A throw sent half a squad flying into their comrades. Ezra deflected blaster bolts, his lightsaber a blue blur. But more kept coming. Shepard fired the assault rifle, the last thermal clip burning through rounds at a rate that would deplete it in seconds. Each shot was a kill. Each movement was precise. Years of N7 training, decades of combat experience, cybernetic enhancements pushing human capability to superhuman levels. But it wasn't enough. A blaster bolt scorched past Shepard's helmet. Another struck Zeb's shoulder, spinning the Lasat around. Ezra was flagging, his force reserves depleting, his lightsaber work growing sloppy. They were being overwhelmed. "Sabine!" Shepard shouted. "How long?" 90 seconds! A thermal detonator arced through the air. Shepard caught it with a biotic pull, hurled it back. The explosion consumed a stormtrooper squad, buying precious seconds. But then, cutting through the chaos, came a sound that froze everyone's blood. Breathing. Mechanical. Rhythmic. Inevitable. Darth Vader emerged through the smoke like death-given form. His lightsaber ignited, crimson fury that cast everything in hellish light. The Force radiated from him in waves so powerful that Ezra fell to his knees, gasping. Stormtroopers backed away instinctively, their trained discipline crumbling before the Dark Lord's presence. "Commander Shepard," Vader's voice filled the chamber. "Your resistance ends now." Shepard stepped forward, placing themselves between Vader and the team. Biotic energy crackled to life, cobalt lightning against crimson blade. "Zeb, Ezra, protect Sabine. No matter what happens, she completes the mission." "Commander," Ezra's voice broke. "That's an order," Vader attacked. The duel was beyond anything Shepard had faced on Mustafar. The Dark Lord moved with Force-enhanced speed, his lightsaber carving reality itself. Each strike was lethal. Each movement was perfect. Decades of Sith mastery given physical form. Shepard met him with everything. Biotics erupting in charges and slams, the Omni Blade parrying where barriers couldn't hold, mobility and tactical awareness compensating for raw power. They clashed in the center of the power distribution center, two forces that shouldn't exist in the same universe, trying to destroy each other. A biotic throw ripped a capacitor from its moorings, hurling it at Vader. The Dark Lord sliced it in half, the pieces exploding behind him. He retaliated with a force push that sent Shepard skidding backward, boots carving furrows in the deck. "You cannot win," Vader stated. "Your power is finite. Mine is eternal." "Power doesn't matter," Shepard shot back, charging again. "Only results." The Omni Blade screeched against the lightsaber, orange energy meeting crimson in a shower of sparks. Shepard's other hand unleashed a biotic warp directly into Vader's chest. The Dark Lord staggered, actually staggered, armor smoking. But he didn't fall. "Impressive," Vader acknowledged. His free hand rose, and the Force seized Shepard with crushing power, lifted them off the ground, began to squeeze. But ultimately, futile. Shepard's ribs cracked. The armor groaned. Cybernetics screamed overload warnings. The commander fought back with biotic energy, but Vader's mastery of the Force was absolute. The invisible grip tightened. "Done!" Sabine screamed. The power distribution center exploded into chaos. Conduits overloaded, capacitors detonated. Throughout the Executor, systems failed. Shields dropping, weapons powering down, gravity fluctuating. Vader's concentration broke for just a second. It was enough. Shepard detonated a biotic nova at point-blank range, the explosion consuming both combatants. When the light faded, Vader was on one knee, his armor cracked, breathing labored. Shepard crashed into a bulkhead, bleeding from a dozen wounds, barely conscious. "Go!" Shepard gasped. "Complete the mission!" Ezra grabbed Shepard's arm, dragging the commander to their feet. Zeb provided covering fire, his bow rifle holding back the stormtroopers trying to swarm their position. Sabine activated the charges she'd planted, secondary explosions that would cascade through the ship's power grid. They ran. Vader rose slowly, watching them flee. He could pursue, could crush them. But the ship was failing around him, systems critical, the bridge demanding his attention. And besides, this was no longer about capture. This was about respect. "Admiral," Vader transmitted, his voice carrying a note that might have been admiration. "Evacuate non-essential personnel. Reroute emergency power to shields and weapons. The rebel infiltrators have wounded the Executor, but they haven't killed it." He looked at the path Shepard had taken, feeling the commander's presence fading into the ship's depths. "We will meet again, Commander Shepard. And when we do, you will understand." the true meaning of power. The extraction was chaos incarnate. Phoenix Cell fought their way to the hangar, through corridors filled with emergency lighting and panicking crew. Shepard could barely walk, supported between Zeb and Ezra. Sabine cleared their path with precise blaster fire and the last of her explosives. Their stolen shuttle was still there, overlooked in the chaos as the Executor tried to maintain combat capability. They stumbled aboard, engines igniting before the ramp was fully closed. The hangar's atmospheric shield flickered as power fluctuated. They shot through the gap into open space where the battle still raged. "Ghost, this is Phoenix Actual," Hera's voice came through, strained but alive. "Mission status?" "Complete," Shepard managed, each word agony. "Executor is crippled. Their command structure is in chaos." "Confirmed. Imperial fleet is breaking formation. Star destroyers are moving to defensive positions around the Executor." Hera's voice carried cautious triumph. "All rebel units, this is Phoenix Leader. Execute scatter protocol. We've achieved our objective. Get out of here." The rebel fleet disengaged, ships jumping to hyperspace in ragged succession. The Imperial forces, without unified command, were slow to respond. By the time they reorganized, the rebels were gone. The Ghost recovered Phoenix Cell's shuttle, then jumped. The battle was over. The rebellion had survived. In the medical bay, Shepard lay on a surgical table while what passed for rebel medical technology repaired the damage. 3 broken ribs, internal bleeding, cybernetic systems partially fried. The commander would live, but recovery would take weeks. Ezra sat nearby, exhausted but unharmed. "We did it," he said quietly. "We actually did it. Boarded Vader's flagship, sabotaged it, and escaped." "Barely," Shepard replied. "If Sabine had taken 5 more seconds, Vader would have killed me. But he didn't." The young Jedi's smile was tired but genuine. "The entire galaxy is going to hear about this. The rebellion just struck at the heart of the Empire's power and lived. That's going to inspire hope across 1,000 systems." Through the viewport, hyperspace flowed past in streams of light. Somewhere behind them, the Empire was regrouping. Vader was plotting revenge. The Emperor was calculating his next move. But for now, for this moment, the rebellion had won. Senator Organa's hologram appeared above the medical bay's projector. His expression was a mixture of relief, triumph, and disbelief. "Commander Shepard, the reports I'm receiving are extraordinary. You did the impossible." "We got lucky," Shepard said honestly. "Any one of a dozen things could have gone wrong. But they didn't. And now the galaxy knows the Empire can be wounded. That Vader can be challenged. That hope still exists." Organa's hologram smiled. "You've given us something we haven't had in years, Commander. A victory that matters." "What's next?" Shepard asked. "Rest. Recovery. And then..." Organa's expression grew serious. "We plan our next move. The Death Star is nearing completion. The Empire will use it to crush resistance across the galaxy. We need to find a way to destroy it before that happens." "I'll study the Scarif data," Shepard promised. "There has to be a weakness. Every weapon has one." "I believe you'll find it." Organa's hologram began to fade. "May the Force be with you, Commander. You've earned your place in this fight." The transmission ended. Shepard closed their eyes, letting exhaustion take over. The medical systems hummed, repairing what could be repaired. Outside, the rebellion regrouped, planned, prepared for the battles to come. And somewhere in the depths of space, aboard the wounded Executor, Darth Vader stood before a hologram of Emperor Palpatine. "You failed to capture Commander Shepard," the Emperor's withered face stated. "No, my master." Vader's tone was calm. "I challenged Commander Shepard, tested them, pushed them to their limits." He gestured to the tactical data. "They are strong, resourceful, dangerous. But they can be broken. When next we meet, I will know exactly how to claim them." Palpatine's expression was unreadable. "The Death Star nears completion. When it is operational, we will use it to draw out the rebellion. All of them. And Commander Shepard will come. They cannot resist a challenge, cannot ignore a threat to innocence." "And then?" Vader asked. "Then we take them, study them, learn how they crossed between universes." The Emperor's smile was terrible. "And we use that knowledge to extend our empire beyond this galaxy, to conquer realms these rebels cannot even imagine." The hologram faded. Vader stared into the void, feeling Commander Shepard's presence through the Force, distant, recovering, but unbroken. The hunt was not over. It had barely begun. 3 weeks after the Battle of the Executor, Commander Shepard stood alone in the Ghost's cargo bay, watching stars drift past through the viewport. The injuries had healed. The cybernetics were repaired. The armor had been patched with salvaged durasteel that didn't quite match the N7 plating. Everything about Shepard's presence in this galaxy was adaptation, making do, improvising, surviving in a universe that wasn't home. But something had changed. The rebellion wasn't just a temporary alliance anymore. It was a cause. Hera, Ezra, Sabine, Zeb, they weren't just allies. They were crew. Family, in the way that only soldiers who'd bled together could be. The Ghost had become another Normandy. Different ship, different galaxy, but the same. Desperate courage against impossible odds. Behind Shepard, the cargo bay door hissed open. Ezra entered quietly, his presence in the Force gentle, respectful of the commander's solitude. "Senator Organa wants to brief the command staff," the young Jedi said. "They've finished analyzing the Death Star plans. Found something." Shepard turned. "A weakness? Maybe." Ezra's expression was cautiously hopeful. "A thermal exhaust port. Small, heavily shielded. But if a proton torpedo could reach the reactor, the whole station goes up." Shepard felt something stir. Not hope, exactly, but possibility. "That's our target." "It's a 1 in a million shot," Ezra warned. "The approach is suicide. The defenses are overwhelming, and Vader will be there. The Emperor too, probably. Then we make the shot." Shepard's tone carried absolute conviction. "We've done impossible things before. We'll do them again." Ezra studied the commander, this warrior from another universe who'd become the rebellion's greatest weapon. "Do you think you'll ever get home? Back to your galaxy?" Shepard was quiet for a long moment. The Omni tool still showed the same negative readings. No relay network, no quantum entanglement, no way back to the Normandy, to Joker's terrible jokes, to Garrus's calibrations, to everything that had been home. "I don't know," Shepard admitted. "Maybe the Empire's research would have given me answers. Maybe there's other technology out there. Or maybe..." The commander's reflection stared back from the viewport, superimposed over distant stars. "Maybe this is home now. Maybe some jumps are one way." "I'm sorry," Ezra said softly. "Don't be." Shepard's hand rested on the young Jedi's shoulder. "I've spent my entire life fighting extinction, fighting tyrants who thought power justified genocide. If I can't go home, at least I'm fighting here. Making a difference, that's enough." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the void pass. "Commander," Ezra finally asked, "when we attack the Death Star, when we face Vader and the Emperor, do you think we'll win?" Shepard could have offered reassurance, could have lied about odds that any tactical analysis said were hopeless. Instead, the commander smiled, not with certainty, but with defiance. "We'll find out together." Across the galaxy, the Empire prepared its ultimate weapon. The Death Star hung in orbit above Scarif, its super laser charged, its crew ready to demonstrate the price of rebellion. Darth Vader walked its corridors, feeling the dark side of the Force flow through every bulkhead, knowing that soon, very soon, Commander Shepard would come. And Emperor Palpatine sat upon his throne, ancient eyes gleaming with ambition that spanned universes, already planning the conquest of realities beyond counting. But in the void between stars, the rebellion gathered. Ships that shouldn't fly, weapons that barely worked, soldiers who'd been farmers and merchants and dreamers before tyranny forced them to become warriors. And at their center, a commander from another galaxy, an N7 soldier who'd crossed impossible distances, who'd faced extinction and refused to blink, who'd proven that even tyrants could bleed. The galaxy far, far away was about to learn what the Reapers had discovered too late. Commander Shepard never stopped fighting, never surrendered, never gave up. The war against the Empire was entering its final phase. The Death Star would become operational. The battle for freedom would reach its crescendo. And when the dust settled, the galaxy would be forever changed. Because one truth had become absolute, written in the stars themselves. The Force was powerful. The dark side was seductive. The Empire was vast. But hope, defiant, desperate, unbreakable hope, was stronger than all of them. And Commander Shepard had brought that hope from across dimensions. The Ghost's engines fired, carrying Phoenix Cell toward their next mission. Behind them, the stars burned with the promise of battles yet to come. Ahead, destiny waited. And somewhere in the void, a dimensional warrior prepared to show the Empire the true meaning of Spectre. The hunt would continue. The war would rage. The darkness would press close. But the light would not, could not, be extinguished. Not while soldiers like these still drew breath. Not while hope still burned. Not while Commander Shepard stood the line. May the Force be with you. More stories await.